Nobody does it better.
She got married.
Whatever it is. They done text these over? I'm excited. Hey, if that gets things done around here,
You should have heard the same.
So don't criticize me. Oh, she does. Oh, where it's Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. with a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It wasn't me. This is
No, I don't know. Oh, Gabby. Sorry about that. Welcome, welcome. We have a last minute thing the building committee is discussing. Okay, so in absence of the supervisor, the clerk opens the meeting and then the board votes on who they want to moderate. So I need a motion for who we want to moderate the meeting. Of the three of us.
Amy.
She's talking about engraving her name in the bottom of the table with a pen. You really want to be in charge? Go ahead.
I make a motion for Amy Crampton Athens and to moderate the meeting.
No. Then I'm not going to support it.
So it's going to die.
Okay, yes. Motion died for lack of support. Now what? I can, but you have to nominate.
Oh, I nominate Liz Whitford to moderate the meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I was going to nominate him. Okay, so we have, if you run it, you mean? Oh, I don't care. So the first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. What?
Roll call?
Oh, I thought you already did roll call. I'm sorry.
Well, good morning.
Amy should be doing
Yes.
do you do the agenda?
You're
Right?
Grub, W, D, Grub, Pushies,
Here.
Crampton, Atherton. Here, thank you. Okay, now with the first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve it? If the consent agenda does not get approved, then we will have to approve each item individually. So if I'm not hearing a motion, then we'll move on to the first item, which is approve the meeting minutes from 3/21. Need a motion? If we don't do this stuff, we can't move on.
just on the minutes, right?
Yep. I'm just waiting for a motion.
You can make it.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes for 3/21/23. Do I have support? Pretty much,
So we're just approving,
the minutes,
we talked about it last week,
the minutes that from last month, yes.
or last,
It's just the minutes.
possibly.
Okay, we have a motion and support to approve the meeting minutes from 3/21/23. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No,
Motion approved. If we don't do this stuff, we're not gonna get very far tonight. So the second item on the consent agenda was account reconciliations. They're all in the packet. I need a motion to approve those.
Make the motion. Support the account reconciliation.
Support. So we have motion support to approve the account reconciliations. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
no,
Motion carried. Disbursements, payroll, and budget reports. And again, these are all just reports, but these are all just things that have already happened that we're approving. April 1st is the beginning of the fiscal year, so the budget report is for last year. We didn't include 18 days of this year, which really would be like 6 days, 5 days. So it's just the ending of the previous fiscal year's budget, the payroll report, and the disbursements that were made in March. So I need motion and support. It doesn't matter, it's a done deal. It's not really support, it's not saying I approve of the budget, you're just saying we're accepting and filing the report. It's already happened in the past.
Okay.
So it's not that you're saying, yep, I loved it, you're just saying, yep, that's it. And same payroll, the payroll's already been done,
Great.
and the disbursements as well were already done. The bills are, all the regular bills are approved by policy to pay before. And so it's all things that have been done, and you're just, if you have questions about the reports, you certainly can ask. But it's all things that already happened, so it's not that, like, by voting no, you're not gonna change anything. You're just gonna sit here and I don't even know what it is. It just doesn't go through.
Okay, I support it.
So
So I'm sorry.
you made a motion.
I motion.
I support. Motion and support to approve the disbursements, payroll report, and budget report. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
no,
All rental report. Again, this is just a report explaining how many rentals there were last month.
I'll motion.
Motion by Crampton Atherton, support by Witt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Zoning administrator report. Again, a report of what was done last month.
A motion.
second,
I already had a W written down here, which is scary. Motion and support, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, call to the public regarding agenda items.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
You were just approving everything that happened last month as it happened, and you did make a change to policy 7, but it's not updated yet. Does that just take time? It's printed the same as last month, number 5, and that was approved. The motion carried last month.
Oh, on the agenda?
On the second page of your packet.
I don't have that printed, but I will speak to the office assistant who probably didn't update the back page.
Okay.
Right, Bill should have put it on the back of the, done it, but the office assistant might have been the, I don't know.
Okay, just wondering, I didn't know how
Yeah.
long it took to.
I will make a note to make sure.
Is it current in the board packet?
No.
No, that's what she's saying,
Okay.
so I will make a note to,
And the hard copies didn't get it on the back here tonight.
oh, okay, she may, the office assistant may have missed, she runs those. She probably just printed the first page, and I apologize for that. But the
That's all right.
rules
Just
haven't
checking.
changed since last month when we amended policy 7. But I will make a note. So, I don't see anyone wanting to speak about agenda items. Yours isn't about agenda items, it's about, how is it? It's, the PC meeting's not on the agenda, the solar ordinance isn't on the agenda, and the drains aren't on the agenda.
On the agenda under communications.
That's his report, that's not an agenda item for us to decide on.
It pertains to that.
You can speak, but it's not about an agenda item, so I was gonna have you speak at the end.
Well, it's also on the moratorium.
Right, but that's just a resolution to what was already approved. It's not gonna change anything by what anyone says tonight. It's just on the moratorium that the planning commission and the county planning commission approved, and this is just our resolution to approve it. It's not changing language or anything. It's,
Right, but we should have the right to encourage you to approve it or not.
as I said, you may speak, even though those are not agenda items. You're welcome to speak, and the microphone is turned on, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, well, I lost, Liz, on your logic. All right, regarding last week's planning commission meeting, most interesting was that someone, I won't mention who, but someone gave us all a much-needed laugh by inadvertently calling Sarah Porter Sarah Parker. Despite the implications, I thought it was an understandable slip of the tongue due to the similar names in both Sarah and Kennedy being strong-willed. Unfortunately, Vice Chair Lucas Kurd, after saying nothing at the meetings for months, made some comments which angered the public and compelled me to publicly call for his resignation. He apparently has not paid any attention to the information the residents have provided, nor their concerns, and it appears that his background as a civil engineer has biased him in favor of the developers over the welfare of the residents. I remind the board that we had several wonderful applications for commissioner in December. Nevertheless, I intend to respond at the next meeting in a constructive manner. On the moratorium, we have no choice but to enact it, as there is much work to be done yet. I do think that Mr. Homier's plan of an overlay district based on demonstrated need is the best way to go, but we have yet to learn the details. Also, there are topics that haven't been discussed at all yet. For example, at the last PC meeting, I brought up that a large farm like Kubiak with their dairy operation might need something more than a residential system for their own use. Likewise, community solar, where several houses share a system, might be good for new developments. Also, at the last board meeting, County Commissioner Paul Funk suggested requiring a filtration system to prevent toxic firefighting chemicals from contaminating our land and water. Sarah and Kelly have put together a draft containing the best from several ordinances that Mr. Homier developed for other townships, which will be great help if the commissioners and the board study it. The potential impact of these utility scale projects is way beyond anything that has confronted the community in my lifetime. It is a huge scale involving thousands of acres that is so frightening, and we rural townships were ill prepared for it initially, so need more time. To quote Supervisor Grubb, industry is always way ahead of local government. Our Freedom of Information request revealed that much of what was objectionable or missing in the proposed ordinance in October was requested by Ranger Power and DTE to improve their profitability to the detriment of our community. I again remind the board that we are under no obligation to accommodate their business model. Frankly, if they had instead acknowledged the many negative impacts of their projects and worked with us on how to minimize them instead of denying them, this all would have been done by now.
You have 3 minutes, it's up, but you can wrap it up.
Okay. In the news recently is that Clinton County is considering establishing a countywide one-year moratorium which would prohibit their townships from accepting new applications. Their residents are concerned about the same things we are. We have a 187-year-old agricultural history, and with the potential of these projects to decimate the beautiful character of our community within just a couple of years, it behooves us to take some more time to do this right. Therefore, I urge the board to adopt the moratorium. Thank you.
Steve, what county was that you said?
Clinton.
Clinton?
One township has already adopted an ordinance without a moratorium, so I don't think you're going to get a countywide one, but I don't know Clinton County, but Livingston County municipalities are all, they want to do what they want to do for their community, not everybody's in one big boat. We have a pretty diverse population disbursement, so while it might be a reasonable idea, I don't think it'll happen, but anyone else? Are you raising your hand?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
It's more questions than it is anything, I guess, and it's more questions. Mike Brown, Silver Road. It's more questions, I guess, than anything. And the first question would be, how much in advance does the board get the packet and the agenda than the public does?
It typically happens, it was turned on.
It's green.
Yeah, it's on.
So that's the first.
If the packet gets to the website person before we leave on Wednesday, it gets put on there right away. I don't remember exactly when this came, but I put it on Thursday morning, or Thursday sometime when I was in here.
It's supposed to be a week though.
Right, it's normally the Wednesday. The deadline to submit is the Monday before the week before the meeting, and the packet's supposed to be out by Wednesday, so it's not quite a week. There's no rule, that's just our standard policy that it does, but I know recent past it hasn't gotten done, but as soon as we get it in the clerk's department, we put it on the website. So if it's not there, it's because we haven't gotten it.
I think it's been brought up in the past though, it's about a certain timeline because the applicants have so many days to have it in prior to the meeting so it can go in the board packet and then be administered to the board or the planning commission.
Right, Monday is the
Yeah.
deadline for the board. I don't know about the planning commission.
And neither one has been consistent. And I think that's what Mr. Brown is getting at.
I understand
Right,
that, but
but
Mr.
the other
Grubb
thing-
took over the packet and agenda duties
I'm
sometime
not
last year.
casting blame.
No, I'm
just
not
saying
either. I'm
that.
just saying, so I can't, I used to do it, but I can't speak for what he's doing. I don't,
Nothing. He took over doing the agenda? Okay, because that was my second question is,
he prepares the agenda and the packet.
okay. And then answer my second. And the reason I asked the first question is because, you know, I know many people on the board have other jobs and things like that and lives like the rest of us. And so I was hoping that they would receive these packets in plenty of time so they would have time to look them over and like truly study these so that they know what they're actually looking at when they get here.
That's the
why I'm
goal, and that's
asking
what
this
we're
question.
supposed, that's the responsibility of the board is to do that, but if it doesn't get to us in time, we only have the time we have. But
Correct.
But it does go to you too. Now, if he sends it to us on Sunday afternoon, it's not gonna go on there until Tuesday when the website person's back in the office. She
Right.
was on vacation last week, is why I did it on Thursday when I got it. But again, I can't force it.
Who does it? In the office, who does it?
Gabi.
Gabi does do it.
I know how,
She
but
was
we
tonight.
prefer to have one person so
No, no,
nobody
I'm
messes. I'm just saying, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, things that get added at the board meeting are things that, it's supposed to be only things that came in after the submission deadline that are critical and have to be done. We're not supposed to be bringing piles of stuff to the meeting for everyone's sake. And again, I don't do that unless it's immediately needed, like we're gonna add something tonight, but you'll be happy about it. So, again, I don't control that. It's not, I used to do it, but I don't anymore. Anyone else? Okay, can I get a motion for the, for the approval of board agenda? First, I want to add, George and Brandy, do you have the information to share if we add the camera for the drains? You guys?
I don't even, I just talked to Brandy.
I know,
10
she
minutes.
just, I know, did she show you the pricing and can you explain it? I don't know anything about the details.
It's printed, or it's very well explained what he said if you want it. Do you want me to go print
Do you have
it
a
for you
copy?
guys?
Do you have a copy?
I can.
So you texted it to me, I
I'll
can,
forward it to my email.
okay, because I was gonna say I can read it, but I can't print it from.
All packet information has to be in by so many days before.
Well, we don't have to address this, but I know that we approved the sidewalk.
You understand what I
I
mean?
do, and I agree with you, but I think this is one of those issues
All right,
that
all right.
we don't have to do it, but
No,
2
no,
months
let's do it,
ago.
let's do it.
we
You're making an
approved-
agenda item right now, is that what you're
Yeah.
doing?
2 months ago, we approved the sidewalk, but we haven't done anything because we were waiting for this drain thing that came up, so
Okay,
that's the only reason. So I would add as 14 camera of drains in the parking lot. We do not have to decide about it tonight. It's up to you guys if you want to.
no, we can discuss it.
Yeah, I just thought it was important. So, does anyone else have anything to
I'd
add?
like to make 15 clerk emails.
I thought you were going to say 15 additions. I was like, what? Okay, anything else?
So what was 14?
The drains.
A quote for a camera of the
It's a computer.
stormwater drains.
It's to, Brandy's gonna bring it, it's to scope the downspouts, the roof sumps that come down to the downspouts go into a drain tile. And we don't know their location in the parking lot, and or its effects on the concrete sidewalks that are spalling and deteriorating. So rather than go and spend a lot of money on concrete without verifying where in fact the drainage is, or what is causing the issue with the sidewalks, I decided to look into doing a scoping of the drain tile to determine where they go into the parking lot. Because if we've got spalling of the asphalt parking lot, we've got deterioration that I would like to address if there's any underground issues prior to doing any repair. Does that make sense?
Sure does.
Okay.
I add, Sarah Porter's email for ordinance,
16?
that's for 16 zoning ordinance.
I'm gonna have to find the email, unless it's not
Yes.
It's an email.
Yeah. Any other additions?
Oh,
I don't see the rec report, but we had one, didn't we, or did it, maybe it came late and it's in next month, because I put it in the folder, but it must have been in May.
17 Krieger? Or was it Conway Lane Company? That'd be fair.
So, George, I don't want to add stuff.
Oh, she said it.
And then, are we allowed to add the email that you sent from Abby?
Well, I have the clerk's emails as an agenda item, so.
Oh, okay,
If
yes,
it's
that's,
attorney-client privilege, you can't talk about it. I don't either, because I don't know what you're talking about. So if it's something that,
we'll just clerk emails.
okay.
Yeah,
It
if
covers
there's,
in that.
if it's privileged, well, we'll need to indicate that. What I'm referring to is, my understanding is not privileged.
Is it something to do with an attorney, but it's not privileged, is that what you're saying? Because she wants to talk about something about the attorney.
Well, I wanted,
I know it's hard, and we can always discuss things in closed session that are privileged, but I don't know what you're talking about. So this is the problem with adding things that none of us know what we're,
well, I'll bring it up, and if you feel it's privileged, we'll go into closed session.
okay. Are you good with that?
Yep.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 additions to the agenda under new business.
Did you guys get them all?
What was the last one?
14, camera drain, parking lot. 15 is the clerk emails. 16 is zoning ordinance, and 17 is the Conway Land Company.
Was 16 was,
Email from Sarah
Sarah
Porter
Porter's
regarding.
email.
Yeah, the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
And then Conway Land Company.
yep, okay.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion is approved.
A question, was Randy gonna, she make a copy?
Yes, so
She's
she had to
forwarding
forward
it.
it
Went
to
to
me
the
and
library.
then print it, so she'll do
She
it.
didn't know.
No, she left her daughter here.
But you left her daughter, where's her daughter?
She's gonna hide, she doesn't want you looking at her. Don't anybody look at Chevy. Okay, so first item on communications is the Planning Commission ex officio members report.
Well, there was a continuation of the solar ordinance tsunami at last Monday's meeting, and it basically just a continuation, and we're still working on it. I believe it has to be expedited, though. We need to get this done. I'm looking at a 60-day issue here, and I'd like to make that a motion right now, that we instruct the Planning Commission to have a completed draft in 60 days from tonight's board meeting.
Is there support?
Support it. Hold on, please.
Not to be the bad guy, but we can't make the planning commission do things because that's why they're separate, is because we're not supposed to unduly influence them. So you can tell them to do something, but you can't make
I
them.
take exception to that,
Okay,
okay, and I'm gonna allude to that into the clerk emails later on,
I'm just telling you what I've been told.
okay, and I understand where you're coming from. My thought is basically, this has gone on way too long,
I agree.
and the fiduciary issues that we have here as the township board, we have to expedite this in no uncertain terms, okay? And if they cannot produce a draft in 60 days, which after review of Sarah Porter's draft, okay, we're close, and I think we need to get it finalized, all right? And I know there's probably arguments on the other side.
I'm not arguing.
Okay, I want to get this done. I am tired of doing this.
I agree with you, and I
Okay.
feel the same
All
way, but it's up to the attorney.
Understood, with exceptions of Mr. Homer, if he has any exceptions, okay?
Well, that's why it's a
understood.
draft. You want a draft.
I want a
I
draft.
thought he submitted a draft 2 months ago.
Well, I should say completed draft by the planning commission. Let me clarify my motion, a completed draft.
So what you
Planning
gave was
commission.
incomplete?
No,
Did you give suggestions?
He's supposed to be drafting it. He was charged with taking the public's input.
all right, I want the planning commission to complete their ordinance draft.
Okay, I understand that, and I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just saying that I've been told that the Planning Enabling Act says we can't make them do things, they're their own body, and they do their thing, we're not supposed to unduly influence them, and then when they bring it to us, that's our time to report. Now, we can certainly say, get this done, but I'm just saying I don't know how much weight it holds.
We're out of time, we're out of
I
budget.
agree with you, I'm not disagreeing, I'm just laying out the landscape.
They're tired,
I'm tired.
they're tired.
I'm
Okay,
tired.
all right. So, Michael, can you read the motion?
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Motion to instruct the planning commission to complete the ordinance draft within 60 days from today's meeting.
So the
Strike
only,
draft.
well, oh, you're gonna call that a final and then it goes to the county and then us, okay.
We have to force the issue.
Again, the
It's
only
not
thing
gonna
I
get-
would
This
say
is
is-
not gonna get done at the planning level without being forcing them to do it.
I'm not disagreeing, I'm just saying they can ignore us. And
Well, they can also be removed.
they, again, I've been told they can't be removed except for specific reasons that once they're appointed, they, sure,
We will
they,
get into that
okay,
later.
they live out their term and then we
We
don't.
will get into
reappoint.
that later.
So, again, I would say they are waiting for Michael Homier to do his job, is my
Are you
understanding.
speaking now for the planning commission? Let's just.
No,
get
I'm
this
not,
going.
no, I'm
Okay.
just telling you, that's what I was told when I said, why is this
Well-
taking so long, and the people complaining about it not
I'm not gonna
happening.
go into hearsay conversations, so
Okay.
let's move on and let's get
Okay,
this
well, we
done.
have a motion, do we have support?
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved.
Read it back, please.
It's too late, you already voted on it.
That's all right, I'll make a minute.
Motion to discuss the to instruct the planning commission to complete the ordinance within 60 days from today's meeting.
Would you add solar?
Solar ordinance draft.
How about renewable energy?
No draft,
It's
just solar.
just
ordinance.
solar? I mean, we already voted on it, so we'll have to approve this change.
That's
But
fine.
you want it to just say solar or renewable energy? Because the new thing is
Solar.
renewable energy, because it could be wind or solar. I'm not telling you what to do.
Well, what does the moratorium say?
I do not.
Liz, email me that.
Solar
picture.
energy systems, that's what it says.
Okay,
What?
thank you.
It said what?
Solar energy systems.
Oh, okay, then it's solar's fine. I just know that lately everybody's been saying renewable energy instead of just solar.
Yep, so Gabby, did you get that?
Yep.
So would you read it back then?
Motion to instruct the planning commission to complete the solar ordinance within 60 days from today's meeting.
We need to make a motion to amend.
Does everyone approve that change?
Yes.
Yes. No, okay, good. No, I meant no, you don't have to start. I'm sending this to Brandy so she can print it. Wes, do you want to do it?
The Wi-Fi partner.
I do, but she couldn't get it from her phone to the printer.
And while you're doing that, the other issue was sea containers at the planning commission level about storage or living in. And I think the general consensus was to not allow living. However, if it's allowed in the building code after that meeting, I thought about it a little bit. Maybe there needs to be a section in there if they were to live in it. Like, and the reason why I'm saying that is if you say no and then they go to court and they prevail, they can do whatever they want. So I'm just throwing that out there for, if nothing else, for discussion purposes.
You mean like the storage containers that people are renovating to make them into a home?
Yeah, well, they have to follow the building code, okay? But is there any other caveats that the township, and I know there was discussion about not allowing them to do it, okay? But after that discussion, and I thought about it a little bit more, if it's allowed in the building code and you deny the use and they file a lawsuit and prevail, they'll be able to do whatever they want, okay? Where there's no stipulations in the ordinance to guide them in how the township would want to do it. And I understand a lot of people don't want it, I'm not a big fan of it, but if you don't put it in there, you're gonna get stuck with whatever a judge allows. That's all I'm saying, I'm just throwing that out there.
My personal thoughts on the whole thing is, again, we have nothing in the ordinance, but we don't have a planner, and we don't have we've been solely focused on this solar for so long that so many other things have not gotten addressed.
But that does not
So-
prevent the planning commission from addressing other topics.
I'm not saying it does,
Okay.
I'm just saying that's another argument for getting this solar thing done, because the zoning administrator and the assessor have things that need to be cleaned up in the ordinance and things, so I'm just agreeing that we need to deal with this, because the shipping container thing is not gonna get talked about tonight, because it's a planning commission issue.
No, I just.
But I think you're right about the building code, and I think I don't see a problem if the building code allows it, then you're right, why would we not allow it?
Right, but the planning commission sole focus is not strictly solar. They have many other things.
It's not
that they-
supposed to be, but
Okay.
I agree with you.
And I understood it's the hot topic, I get it, but they have duties that they are not performing.
Well, they don't have any application of the ordinance, but what are they not performing when they're,
The other revisions to the ordinance and the
Right, well,
master plan review?
well, that has to be done at some point this year, I think. I don't know the exact deadline.
It's just a,
Yes, it's not a big deal, but, I mean, it's not gonna take forever or anything. I'm not defending anybody or arguing, I'm just saying this is my viewpoint of, the situation. So is there anything else?
you
For
want
your
to discuss
report?
this?
No, yeah, it's number 14.
You want to do it now?
No.
Okay.
Do you have anything
I'll
else?
put the numbers.
Not at this time, I'm sure I will later on, so.
There's plenty of opportunities. So the only other item under communications were the Livingston County planning reports on the two amendments that we have resolutions to address later, so there's really nothing to, that we have to discuss. Communications isn't normally a discussion item, it would normally, other things would be in unfinished or new business, not in communications. I don't have anything else to communicate at this moment. Does anyone else? Usually you're just sharing things that
Not at
are
this time,
happening.
no.
Okay. So under unfinished business, spring cleanup, the clerk's department spoke to Mr. Judd, and we did modify the flyer to state the fee that the residents pay. I have ordered and received receipts and some little clipboards for people to write on. He's been instructed, the flyer tells the process. We have a box that we can put the receipts and money in. We're gonna collect all the money and then pay him, not the other way around.
Oh, I was gonna ask you how that was gonna go.
So
Are we taking Mr. Brown's recommendation or no?
I don't know what was specifically,
The free slip?
yes, I bought the receipts.
Okay,
And so it says it right on the flyer in the packet, residents will fill out a 3-part receipt before payment is collected.
I
One
should have
for,
read it, I'm sorry.
That's right.
I should've read it.
one's for the township, one's for the resident, one's for the vendor. And the amounts are the amounts stated on the flyer, not half. So, it's going to be on the 13th, I was thinking the 8th for some reason. Saturday, May 13th, signs will go out. The Sunday prior, it'll be in the paper. And I know the supervisor has instructed one employee to come work. I don't know about anyone else or if he's gonna be doing it, but we can't compel an employee to work. If they do work, they'll get paid. The board doesn't get paid to work, but I guess they would be passing out the clipboards with the receipts and checking ID. I mean, pretty much, you can almost just tell from the address they write down, but when it's an area that you're not sure, then we can check their ID. I still don't know how it's gonna really, it doesn't say,
Well,
it says Livingston County, not Conway Township.
Well,
but-
why would it necessarily matter if somebody did, not, like, somebody from outside of Conway Township came, they'd have to just pay full price?
They could, but how, but if they don't say that, how would we know?
Well, they'd have to show their ID.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree, but it's the reason they have to be residents, because the township residents are subsidizing the program. So if someone from outside of the township came and said, hey, I got this stuff and I want to pay full price, that would be, in my opinion, between them and the vendor. It wouldn't have anything to do with the township. I haven't had that come up, like, there was talk about it, but then everyone that did check IDs said no one from outside the township tried to sneak in with their stuff, so. Other townships do similar, or Andy Township does a sweep kind of thing a couple times a year where people can get stuff picked up. Other ones have events like this, so I don't know why they would need to come here, but.
I'm just thinking, since nobody is actually paid to.
It wouldn't be the end of the world, but in the past, as I said before, 2 board members did it, so. But anyway, that's the spring cleanup update. If anyone has any more questions that I can't answer, yeah. Because that's the only one I don't know the answer to. For sure, like why we couldn't do that, I don't see a problem, but somebody else might. Apparently, there's a sharp drain meeting here on May 11th. The Drain Commission handles all that. We just provide the buildings, so.
Do you have a time?
I'm gonna look and see if it's in the packet, because I know if it's not. So I do not, because I did not know anything about it until I saw it on here. So, Mr. Grubb probably does. But he didn't share that with me. So, moving on to new business. Code of conduct for board members and commissioners. I don't see anything in the packet to support that.
That's what I was
Well,
wondering.
I thought maybe there was gonna be something provided at the meeting, but evidently not then.
I did not do this, so he emailed it and I haven't seen him or talked to him. I'm guessing it relates to the fact that the board members and the planning commissioners sign a code of conduct, and it says new in there, so maybe he had some new draft, I have no idea. So I guess we'll postpone that.
Imagine.
The IT annual report,
Wait, real quick. Why was it highlighted in the board packet?
I don't know, I didn't do it, so that's what I'm saying, I don't make the packets, so I don't know, if he doesn't put something in there, I can't answer
All right,
questions.
okay, all right.
And I looked in the packet and didn't see it, but I just looked again in case I missed it and I don't see it, so, I don't know.
What is a blank page?
Yeah, I don't know what it's about.
Page 13.
I can speculate, but I can't say what it's about since he didn't include information, I don't know why it's highlighted.
Well, speculate.
Well, I said maybe he wanted to make some kind of revision in the,
Well, we don't know.
planning commission, he said he wanted me to speculate.
Well, I
so
don't think it would have been placed in the board packet, but I can't speak for Bill.
I can't either, that's my point.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
IT annual report, I included it, it has a lot of information, I spent 2 or 3 hours, not, a lot longer than I anticipated, going through it all, because we talked about a lot of different issues and things, so that's really not anything to act on, it's just there for I would have put that under communications, so it was just there for your information. I sent Amy the current scope of what the current company provides, and she was gonna work on a request for proposal. Did you get to that?
You get to that.
So, we're still at that stage, because last month we approved going out for bids.
Well, so I think that what you need to do is just take what we have now, take it to a couple other IT companies, say, listen, this is what we've got.
No pricing.
That's what, no, I know that. That's what I would have done, but because last time I did this, I got new questions that I hadn't anticipated, that's why I wanted to loop her in.
No, but
That's
to Amy's.
I sent her that, and I can do that.
Whatever is sent out to bid, it's gotta be consistent.
Right, and that's why I sent
Right, and
that,
that's what I'm
and
saying, is
just have you
take what
look
we
at it.
have now,
Yep.
say, get a quote from Z Solutions, say this is what we got. If you think that we don't need something, included in your report or your quote of why we wouldn't need it. A little example, so I think we're just paying too much for,
Did you read the report though? This is where I get, I don't have any skin in that game with them, but, they,
if other IT companies feel like, because it's gonna go and ask a couple different IT
Yeah.
companies. So if they feel that we don't need something because of the level we're at, because I feel like we're paying for way more than what we need, they can kind of explain it to you. And like, that way that we know.
right, no, and that's fine, and that, he went through this and explained everything we do have and why. So
Right,
that was why I wanted you guys to see this report.
Whatever they're providing now needs to be bid out.
Right, and that's what I was gonna do, and I had sent it to her to look it over, because she was, I think you were gonna compare it to what you guys did, and yours is probably a lot simpler. I will tell you, starting any day now, he said he set it up Monday, but it takes 2 or 3 days to come out. We have a cybersecurity training, and I get a report all the time about who did and didn't complete that. So that's one report we get that I can start including in the packet. Also, he's going to start giving us a daily report of how many attempts there are to breach the system. He sent me the one for April 5th. There was 143 attempts to breach the camera system from the United Kingdom, and a couple other attempts from China to breach the server. So I would have never thought it was that. But he said in the last year, hacking and phishing attempts have increased by 350%, and in the last month, they've gone up like 30% because, and it's only gonna get worse as the election approaches.
Right.
So, we did have a one-man show in the past, and first of all, the office staff have a lot of issues sometimes, like printers and this and that. And that guy wouldn't get back to us for like 2 or 3 months sometimes. And so this company has a whole department of tech support, and I'm not, like I said, I don't have anything with them.
No, I
But
get
we
it.
do have a 60-day contract, like, we don't have a contract per se, but we can't just switch, because we rent all the equipment, so we have to either rent new equipment or buy new equipment. And they have a 60-day clause to get everything wrapped up and switched over.
When
And
you say rent equipment, elaborate on that a little bit.
I like the server.
No, the
think that
servers,
is right.
ours, it's, no, not everything. You would ask me the details on the hardware.
I thought you knew.
I only know that there's like switches, and I don't know
The
that.
hardware.
Yeah, hardware stuff. It's not everything is rented.
Well, we might want to consider.
We're gonna
that in
need
the
a new
future.
server, and I said, is it better to rent or buy? Why didn't we buy? And he said, well, when you rent, then anytime something breaks or new things come out, we just give you new ones. But if you buy it and something becomes obsolete, you have to buy new.
Depending
And
on
it's-
what the overall cost is.
He said, and I'm not defending, I'm just telling you what he told me, that it's more cost effective to rent, but we certainly can buy. We bought our copier, we buy our computers, we don't rent those, but there's different levels.
I'd
And
just like
again,
to see the numbers for comparison.
and, well, and I will give, it's all in the report, but he's going to give us a new bid because the service agreement we have right now was signed, I think, in 17 or 18. And a lot of things, they've got new things, they've rolled some things into the other things that we are paying for separate right now. And so he is preparing a new bid just like everyone else. Just that I told him that we needed that. And so we'll have theirs, and I can put that in the paper because we should. We can contact Z Solutions, KW Wireless. I don't know if there's anybody else that, like I said, we had a one-man show in the past when I first started here, and they couldn't handle because when we're only here 2 days, we need answers right now.
Yeah, that's why if you went from local, they can get to us right
Well, it's
away.
all online. We just put in a help ticket.
Right.
They respond, they remote into our computers and do everything.
Right.
The other guy was local, but I'm not saying one way or the other what to do, I'm just
No, I
explaining
know.
what we have.
Fine.
So I will, I didn't want to step on your toes
No.
after I asked you, so if you want me to, I will just take that paper and send it out to the other people, and hopefully, I will put a deadline to bring it to next month's meeting.
Yep. And then if I can think of another one, I'll throw it in there.
Yeah, let
so
me
I-
know, and I will put it in the paper and on the website. I don't know if anyone out there knows people that you can tell them that we're taking bids. Specs will be on the website. So that was all I had for that.
Liz, for the people, can you explain, or maybe you can't? For 34 listed users, we have Mike Reif listed as an authorized user, Deb Grubb has 3 emails, Megan Swain has a personal email listed, like, is that normal stuff?
That's stuff we're cleaning up.
Okay,
Sometimes they don't, because we keep the position-specific emails, sometimes they don't update the names. And Deb, I have 3 emails too that, they're just alias, we all have too, because our Microsoft accounts are all under the old domain name, and now we have aliases with the new domain, so everything gets forwarded. Deb had one from back when they used to use people's first names, so her main account is Deborah@ConwayTownship.com, and now she has treasurer, and I don't know what the other one is. Did you say she had 3?
why would someone's personal email ever get used?
Because before we purchased licenses for all of the planning commissioners to have township email, they all used their personal email.
Oh,
And so did the trustees. We just,
It's the way it used to be.
yeah,
oh,
we
that's
just,
uncomfortable.
well, and that's why we switched it over. So those are
Stick it in
things, we went through that and we're cleaning it up. And they're not using those, they were just still on the list. And,
Okay. Just wondering, thank you.
yep. Any other questions about IT report? I have not read it all with a fine tooth comb, but we talked about it through the whole thing, for, like I said, several hours. So the next item on the agenda is the resolutions to approve the solar and pool amendments to the zoning ordinance. So first, we have the resolution to adopt an ordinance to impose a moratorium on the issuance of permits, licenses, and approvals for any construction of commercial wind and solar energy projects, and to repeal sections of the township zoning ordinance pertaining to wind energy and solar energy collectors. It's resolution 23041801, and I will offer that resolution.
Second with an amendment that it stipulate 1 year in the motion.
It's not a motion, it's a
Wait,
resolution, so is it in the resolution?
I don't see it.
Okay, that's what
I
I'm
see.
gonna say,
The resolution doesn't stipulate a year. Now, in the exhibits at the county planning, it did. Or what was provided as legal exhibits to the county planning commission to do. So that's why I want to put it in the motion of the resolution.
yeah, it's not a motion, so let me figure out where to put it in the resolution.
You just want to make it number 4 as an item towards.
I was thinking it would go, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was thinking it would go under whereas the board desires to approve and adopt the amendments to the zoning ordinance. I think the language of the actual ordinance probably is where this resolution isn't meant to be all-inclusive,
Well,
so.
it is what we are passing tonight, correct?
No, we're adopting the ordinance that
Okay.
was the amendment, not this. This isn't what this resolution is saying we are approving and adopting the amendments as recommended by the planning commission. So that if the 1 year, I've got the county reports right here, the 1 year is in there.
It should be, I think I read it, but I
And
just
I'm
want to make sure that we're
sure
covered.
It is, and like I said, the resolution isn't meant to have word for word.
It's an exhibit. I think it's exhibit 1.
I got C2, C1. I know it's out of year, I just want to find it so you know when you figure it
It's, yeah, it'd be page, on mine, 39. It's the second part of.
Of the ordinance, I was looking at the planning commission's recommendations,
It's
so,
Exhibit A, Conway Township Board, ordinance number 2023-01, and it's subsection D.
and that specifically states a year.
Term of moratorium renewal. This moratorium imposed by this ordinance remains in effect for 12 months following the effective date of this ordinance.
Okay, so that means that we we approve the resolution,
wanna be
adopt.
clear. I
Yep,
just wanna
we're
be clear.
adopting that ordinance that specifies that, and then it goes into effect 7 days after publication. And I can submit it for publication tomorrow, and so it'll be, 7 days later, it'll be a year from that date.
I just didn't see it in the resolution.
No, it's not, they don't put everything in here, it's just the, adopting the amendment, which you just read. So we have a, offer and support on the resolution, we need a roll call vote,
Witt,
yes?
Brampton Atherton,
Yes.
Bushies,
Yes,
thank you.
And I will declare the resolution adopted at the regular board meeting on April 18th, 2023. The next item is the resolution to amend the swimming pool ordinance. Again, this isn't an all-inclusive of the ordinance change, it's just the adopting the amendment. I do have a copy of that because it was short. And it's basically regulating above-ground pools of more than 24 inches in depth. Before, there's been some issues between the pool companies and the ordinance that they said they told people they didn't need permits, and then the zoning administrator issues a violation because they did need a permit, so it's just cleaning up that kind of stuff.
it
And
just allows for an exception, is the way I read it. The 24-inch rule.
if it's under 24 inches, right, they can get a waiver, because they still, if they're gonna install electrical and stuff, they have to go to the county, but we have to give them a waiver first. So that allows us, before, I don't think it said, Brandy knows more about the details of these things, but I don't think it said specifically under a certain depth, didn't need one, and so,
Why is April 10th highlighted
That's what I was wondering.
where?
in the packet?
Oh.
It's highlighted. It's when the planning commission approved it. I just wondered why it was highlighted, that's all.
I have no idea. I was just looking at that, I printed the resolution. Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't know why it's highlighted either. The planning commission considered it April 10th. I think they're saying our planning commission
Yeah.
did it on the 15th, and I think because it should have been done in March, but the county didn't get it on the agenda or something, so that might be, it's just pointing out that it was a lag.
Oh, no, no.
I don't know, again,
Well,
speculating.
it went to the county and then it came back, so. But maybe it didn't get on the planning commission, county planning commission.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
the county planning commission didn't get it on their March agenda, so it didn't happen until April 10. And so, that's probably why that's highlighted, again, I don't know, because I didn't do the resolution. So I will offer the resolution, 230418, to amend the zoning ordinance relating to temporary swimming pools. I need a second.
1 second.
Roll call?
Witt,
Yes.
Brampton Atherton,
Yes.
Bushies,
Yes,
And I will declare the resolution adopted, and again, it goes into effect 7 days after publication, so I will get it in the paper for this Sunday. And it'll become effective. Okay, camera of drains in the parking lot. I know nothing about this other than you guys met with people and talked about it. So do you want to talk about it, or do you want her to?
Brandy, come to the podium, please. direction, that they can return the direction?
I believe it's 100 foot long, so he should be able to go anywhere that we need it to go.
Okay.
And I wanted to do the back ones too, in case they are tied in.
I would recommend you do them all,
Yeah, that's what I want, all of them.
but are they gonna stipulate or know, or they're gonna give you a drawing, or what are they gonna
He's gonna
provide?
give me whatever I ask for.
You need a drawing to know.
That's what I want,
Okay,
in
just-
case there's an issue. Like if one is clogged and one is, you know, it'd be cool if we could maybe figure out where it is so that we have a drawing for future employees that don't have to dig through a box for something that doesn't exist.
Okay, can he locate where the, let's say it's plugged out in the parking lot, can he locate that?
Yeah.
Okay,
And we should get pictures, shouldn't we? I mean, usually you get a picture.
well, I understand the picture part.
Oh, I know.
But when, at the surface level, at the parking lot level, can he indicate that on the surface? I get the part of being.
Oh, like mark it?
Yes,
I'm sure you could, if he knows where it is.
oh. I didn't know we were gonna go at this level.
We don't have to, we can just.
Do you not want an answer right now?
If you can get a hold
Hey, if you find a clog in the drain, can you mark it on the surface so we know where it is? Yes. Any other questions,
I
Lauren?
assume.
of, not at this time, but I'll have questions.
I assume. Speed dial. Do you want to keep him on hold or should she hang up?
Okay, thank you. I'll call you later. Bye.
I knew they could provide pictures and show clogs and stuff.
I'm trying to get as much detail as possible.
And I want a picture of it, if we can graph where they are too, or estimated, because we have nothing.
No,
For future employees, if, once we're all gone, if there's an issue, that they know what.
I don't have a problem with this, I just want to get as much information as possible. Okay, so, motion to approve the bid.
I'll second.
Okay. But I do want to because so anyway, we have a motion and support to approve the bid for camera inspections of the underground piping for the stormwater drainage for $150 by Davison Construction. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? You don't have to write anything, so just laying it out for you. Okay, clerk emails.
I'm trying to wrap my head around the March 10th email.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at that March 10th email because I don't know what it is. I mean, I get hundreds of emails and some not that many, but you said you forwarded it to me.
Part of an email that was sent, I believe, trying to remember who.
That was, you forwarded it to me on March 21st. And it says, meeting with Conway, revised ordinance.
What, who sent it originally? Was it,
Probably Homier.
was it Abby?
That was March 13th?
Homier called, if I'm recalling the right thing, Homier did it, but,
Abby sent it on March 10th, yes.
oh, okay, let me look. Because I was looking at my son folder.
March 9th, Homier sent a Zoom.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
That would be March 9th, right?
I would say, if they tell me what you're talking about before I can answer any questions, because.
It was, the one I have originated from Homier on Friday, March 10th at 4 o'clock. And I have Cooper, PC chair, Witt, PC secretary, and PC vice chair on a Zoom call. I'd like an explanation.
I explained it last month, but I'll explain it again. I oftentimes get looped into things because I'm the clerk, but I got an email inviting me to a Zoom meeting with those people, and so I got in and listened. They were discussing the I think that was like a day or two, it was the Friday
Friday
before a
before
planning
the-
commission meeting.
Yeah,
So, they were just talking about what he was gonna be presenting. I don't remember exactly because I was just an observer, I wasn't.
I guess what I'm trying to wrap my head around is why the entire planning commission wasn't party to this Zoom call.
Because it wasn't a decision or deliberation thing, it was just.
Why are we being selective? And I know it's a planning commission issue, but, our attorney, but why are we setting up with only certain members of the planning commission with all the turmoil that's gone on with this solar ordinance? Why are we dropping back to these type of tactics?
I cannot answer that because I didn't organize the meeting and I didn't invite people, I didn't even know who was invited, I called in on my phone, so.
Well, if the planning commission is a separate body, like you said earlier in today's meeting, why are we bringing in board members and only certain board
I
members?
guess you have to ask the
I guess we
attorney
have
that.
to, yeah.
So I can decline those invitations, the only reason I go to planning commission meetings or participate in those things is so I'm somewhat aware of what's
I don't
going
have a
on.
problem with you going, but it's gotta be open to everybody.
If everyone, it's not a meeting where anybody's talking, nobody was discussing anything or talking about anything, he was just
Well, then
saying,
there was no reason for the meeting.
I'm not telling you what, I don't know, I didn't call it, I didn't have anything to do with it. I listened and I'm telling you what was talked about.
You see where I'm.
I understand, and I can say, in the future, I can say, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna come to any more of your meetings because it causes a problem. I just said,
I'm not saying that you can't come, I'm just saying it's gotta be open to.
if it's
the
open to
entire-
everyone, it
Yeah.
would not be a Zoom meeting and it would be a public meeting here, and then it would probably go into closed session because it's attorney-client privilege stuff that he's talking about, strategy that isn't to prevent the public from knowing, it's to prevent
Okay, but then it goes right,
litigants, but I'm not the attorney, I just called in and listened.
but it goes into another aspect of the last planning commission meeting, which you were not part of, okay? But we had certain planning commission members making commentary that were privy to this Zoom call, okay? That were not, but not everybody of the planning commission was privy to this Zoom call, okay? So there
Did
was
they allude
commentary.
to that?
No, I didn't say that.
So how, what are you getting at that they said, or, like, you think that, okay, I know you want to know, and I can't answer. All I can say is, the gist of it is, Homier says, I'm just giving you an example. Homier says, okay, I'm gonna have the draft at the next meeting. We will need to go into closed session to discuss something, or we won't need to go into closed session to discuss something. Does anybody have any questions about the draft? Goodbye. I mean, so I did check with both attorneys, and they said nothing improper happened or was done. It's appropriate to loop the chair and vice chair in because they're the leaders, and that, like I said, in the past, I don't know how they picked and choose.
I'm sorry, I just take exception to the
I
whole
get it,
thing.
but I didn't have
take
anything- I
exception
just-
to everything that I'm seeing on these emails, and all these emails
Well, I'm trying
are
to
FOIA.
find the actual email, but, okay, so that's another issue. Attorney-client communication is not foilable. So, I don't know, I didn't,
Is this considered privileged?
yes. If it's communication between the attorney and the client, it's privileged.
So
I
the
asked
client-
because I have a FOIA request asking for that, and the attorney said no.
So the client is certain people of a planning commission board or commission,
The
and a
client,
certain board member of a board of trustees. So my point is that we're being selective in who is going to attend, whether they're elected official or appointed official. We're predetermining who is going to attend these meetings.
we aren't the attorneys, but in the future,
Again.
if you would like to be included, you can certainly take the board's place. They need a representative to be there, I
Oh, I thought
guess.
you already volunteered for that.
No, I did not volunteer, I told you, they sent me an invitation, I get invitations from the attorneys to call or participate in a Zoom, I mean, a Zoom call is no different than a phone call, especially for me, because I usually call in on my phone because I'm doing stuff and I can't just sit down on my computer and look at everybody. But it's attorney-client privilege, but if you would like to be the board, I think the only reason I get invited is because I'm the one who usually does all this stuff around here, so if you wanna be the board
No,
person,
and
you
look,
can.
I'll volunteer when I feel the time is right. I don't need you to volunteer me
I
for
wasn't.
anything,
I
okay?
wasn't. You're
All right.
accusing
No,
me.
you're implying.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I am not. I'm saying if you wanna be a part of it, that's fine, tell the attorney. I am only.
I'm saying everybody should be part of this. It should not be selective in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
That's been the problem with this whole process,
Why are you yelling at me? I'm not even on the planning commission.
because you're on the email.
I was invited. If I invited you, you'd be on the email. Would you be guilty of anything?
Maybe.
Well, okay, well, I'm not. I'm telling you, I didn't do anything except
You-
listen.
This was a closed meeting that only certain people knew about this.
What do you want me to do about it, George?
Well, I'd like a better explanation what I got, but I don't think I'm gonna get one.
I don't know what you want me to say. I can only tell you what I know, and what I know is I got an invitation, I accepted, I listened to the conversation, I said goodbye, and went about my business. I wasn't, I don't know why I was selected. Like I said, I think because I tend to be the central person that knows a little bit about everything that's going on, and a lot of other people are just in their own little areas. I don't know. I didn't ask, and I will certainly speak to the attorneys and tell them that we can't do anything. I mean, it's an attorney-client privilege, so I don't know what to tell
Well,
you.
we've already been
Nothing
through this.
happened that was a privilege,
Well-
I mean, from my perspective, there wasn't anything, but they're the ones that determine that. So,
Well,
in
I
the
feel
future,
I'm part of the client here.
I know, why are you yelling?
I wanna make sure you understand.
I
where
can
I'm
hear
coming
you. I can, I do. I'm not even disagreeing. You keep accusing me of that. I will let both attorneys know that in the future, members of the board would like to have any attorney conversations be in person in a closed session at the Township Hall, which means you're gonna get a lot of invitations to special meetings to
Fine,
attend
fine.
because they are gonna do that, and it's gonna cost a lot more because we pay the guy to drive 2.5 hours over here and everything else. I think the point of the Zoom was expediency and cost, but I don't have a problem with it. I don't,
The point of the meeting was
Participate.
that only certain members of the planning commission.
you're
would
blowing it
have
out of
knowledge of what was
proportion.
being
It wasn't anything.
discussed. Not the point, Liz.
I know, and I'm agreeing. I'm saying I will tell them that from now on, I guess, would you like to make a motion to that effect? Because really, I can't just say, this is what the board thinks, because then I'll be accused of
No,
doing something
I
myself.
think I'm gonna rely on the emails for future litigation. That's what I'm gonna do,
Okay.
all right?
It's a person.
So, but you said you don't want me to tell them to invite you, because you don't want to be volunteered, which I wasn't. I was offering you the opportunity to
Well,
say
the
I
lady
want
makes
to.
a valid point, okay? The board member on the planning commission, ex-official member, I believe should have been invited to those kind of meetings.
Well, I do too, but I didn't. I knew about it like 15 minutes before it happened.
Well, okay. It shouldn't happen at all.
I agree, but I didn't do it. I just. Who did it?
It shows you who's on the phone.
The attorney, Michael Homier, called the meeting, and
All right, okay.
I don't know
All right,
who
we
sent out the invites.
We beat this one to death.
I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just trying to explain that I don't know. And if you want me to tell everybody that, I'm cool with that, but if we don't make it a board action, then people can just ignore it. They don't have to listen to what I say.
Then make it a board action that the ex-affiliate needs to be included in on.
All right,
I
motion.
thought we were gonna have no meetings outside of a quorum.
Well, no, if the
I mean, it's not practical, but I'm fine with doing it. Or you can say you want the ex officio included in any
planning commission
related.
related with the attorney.
So if I have a Zoom call with an attorney over something else,
Well, I may not be able to make them, that's the part of the problem here.
well, that's what I'm saying. So if you want us to not do
Well, we
anything
had,
like that,
okay, hold on. We had no notification of any meeting at all,
Neither
other
did I.
than the emails.
15 minutes.
Okay, so,
All board members, we're tired of hearing.
Okay.
there you go.
What? I didn't hear what he said.
It should be sent to all board members whether they come or not. At least all board members know, and then it's up to.
There was a meeting, and then it could have minutes, and then it could be brought back to the regular
There won't be minutes because it's a closed session with the attorney, but, You can invite the whole board, then if the whole board calls in, it's a quorum and violates the Open Meetings Act. I'm not defending this process, I'm just explaining to you what went on. I did not,
Well, then there needs to be a process of who's gonna
Right,
be attending these
so I make a
meetings.
motion that it,
not that slow, but she needs to.
I make a motion that if the planning commission and Homier
Is she defending?
do a Zoom call meeting, that they need to include the ex-officio.
Ex officio.
No, whatever.
That's, I never heard of that.
Sorry. If he is not available, then a board member has to be included.
Okay, but if it's me, then am I gonna get yelled at? Because I participated?
No, because
Okay.
first it's gonna go to George.
Because it could be both of us if you, but I don't even, I mean, I'm only there because I was asked, not because I have any.
I'm not blaming you.
I know you're not, but sometimes when you get your role, I feel like you're yelling at me and I didn't even do anything.
No, I'm not in it.
Yeah. But so,
If George isn't available because of work-related
then
things.
any old board member will do, or do you want to specify? I don't care, I'm just asking. I don't know, depends on any given day. They're usually not on like office days where people are dedicated to working here. That's why I happened to pick up my phone and saw the invite 15 minutes before it happened.
See, and I can't respond in 15 minutes.
Well, I didn't, I just happened to. It would have been a lot better for me if I'd never picked up my phone that day. Because I just said, oh, I better hurry up and get on there. And so, your motion, read back the motion, please.
Motion of the PC and Homier meet to include ex officio, PC ex officio member. If the ex officio is not available, include a board member.
Shouldn't it be either lawyer, not just specifying Homier?
It pertains to Homier.
It pertains to the planning commission.
Well, if-
Well,
It could be
Abby's
whatever
not-
you want.
Abby's
She's
not
the
supposed
one
to be in on the planning commission.
but
stuff.
she is,
Okay,
even
but
though.
all right,
Yeah.
before you even go there, whenever, this might be something you're bringing up, but when someone complained that Abby weighed in on the draft, Homier sent it to her and asked her to review it against the rest of the ordinance to make sure nothing conflicted. Because I did check into that, and he sent it to her and asked her input, and he has said all along, she is the general counsel, she knows the township, she knows the ordinance, I'm just doing this little piece, and I need her to back me up on certain things to know, because he apparently is not going to read our ordinance, or our proposed ordinance, or our suggestions. He's just writing what he is doing, and then if anything else comes in, it has to come from her or the planning
So
commission.
how about any attorney?
Okay.
So,
But then,
All
is the ex
attorneys.
officio member always gonna be the appropriate person? That's why, if it's a
But
planning commission
that's why I said,
issue.
it says planning.
Oh, any attorney but planning commission, okay.
Yeah, any,
So
all
instead of
attorneys
Homier,
on the
say
planning.
any attorney. I'm just making sure that it's feasible, because again, like, a pending lawsuit isn't, the planning commission, it's not about the planning commission, so it wouldn't be appropriate. A board member could certainly be there, they would be there, but not necessarily a specific planning commission. I mean, that's why he's on the planning commission, to be our liaison and tell us what's going on. We shouldn't all have to be involved all the time, just like anything else. I run elections, other people do assessing and taxes.
But respectfully, I don't see the need for having that meeting to begin.
Then I did not call it. Tell the attorneys, if we pass this motion, it won't ever happen again.
All right, Gabby, can you read it back, please?
If PC and any attorney needs to include the PC or the planning commission ex officio member, if the planning ex officio is not available, to include the board member. A board member, yeah.
So you made that motion?
Yes.
Second.
Motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Is there other emails you want to talk about, or is that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just meant him because. he
April
brought-
7th.
Can you give me a, just about what it's about?
Letter to board. So that.
We can go into closed session, and discuss it. Let me pull, I mean, I can guess what it was about, but let me pick up.
Seven.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, letter to board confidential. We would need to go into closed session to discuss this, and it was recommended by the attorney we do so.
Okay.
So we're gonna go into closed session at 8:21 PM, and we'll be back shortly. It'll never happen again.
It's all about.
My mic's on. Did you all hear that? I'm gonna call the meeting back to order at 8:45. Gotta open up the packet again. So, we return from closed session.
I make the motion to hold a special meeting with the attorney.
Second.
We have a motion support to schedule a special meeting with the attorney.
Which attorney?
Abby.
Ed. Cooper, sorry, Attorney Cooper.
Is that gonna be an open meeting or private meeting?
It'll be a closed session.
It'll be an open meeting, but then we'll go into closed session.
Right.
And so, okay, we have a motion and support on the floor to hold a special meeting with the attorney,
With Attorney Cooper.
Attorney Cooper. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Okay, so was there, other clerk emails besides those two that you wanted to discuss, or do we move on to Sarah Porter's email? If you guys had given me a heads up, I'd have been,
Oh,
I'd have found them, I'm just saying, I didn't know.
I didn't know about it until last week.
Well, 413,
Was it one I sent?
yes.
Okay.
Was it? Oh, was that line item number 17?
No, it is not.
So you guys need to ask me this stuff ahead of time so I can prepare.
So
I don't
413,
know
which
what you're
one?
talking about.
It's
Was it the 4th?
No, 11:22 a.m.
Oh, so that's my,
Is that yours?
that's the one, that's number 16 that I was going to talk
Oh,
about.
number, okay, well, you can have it.
Okay.
So we're done with item 15, we're moving on to 16, is that what you're telling me?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So, I gotta find it. That's not what I said.
It's 412, 413, so like she sent it, and then you replied to all of us on it. Because you said there that you need to hire back CID, but I'm wondering if we can
I
talk
take,
about that.
I take exception with hiring back a planner that we terminated, I'm sorry, I can't go along with that. I'm not saying we don't need a planner, but I think if we do bring any planner back on board, we have to have cost constraints or bids not to exceed a certain dollar amount.
So do I need to find the email, or are we just gonna talk about it? 'Cause I haven't
Well,
found
you
it yet.
find
I
it.
got like hundreds of emails to look through.
It's
and-
four-
I know, I'm on 4,
It's
12,
your
and
response to
13.
Sarah at 413.
I'm looking in my sent folder, and I have hundreds of emails that, like, not that day, I don't have hundreds, but I have like 30 or 40.
Type in the search engine.
well,
solar
It
ordinance.
says solar ordinance people edit.
I know what one you're talking about, I just haven't found the
I want to talk about
actual.
Go ahead,
talk
yeah,
about
this is your thing.
the
Okay, I think I found it.
ordinance itself. and then talk about the planning.
All right,
Okay.
I got too many to sort through, and I
That's
did
okay.
type in solar ordinance, but it's probably, the search in Outlook is gonna bring up a person's name, and I typed in her name, and I got a bunch of other stuff.
It's okay. So, it's all right, so this is the email that she sent
Yep,
regarding the ordinance.
and it was about incorporating the suggestions.
The suggestions,
And I
correct?
explained that that's home years. That's what he was instructed to do.
He was instructed to incorporate
He was
their,
supposed to take the draft ordinance and the suggestions and,
okay,
but he's just focused on the overlay district, so.
so is what they suggested getting put into the ordinance? Or no?
I don't know, I'm on a planning commission, I only know what I heard about, that last thing was just about providing that draft. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of any of that, and he wasn't at the last planning commission meeting, so I can't answer that.
Well, and that's where, I'm going back to what we discussed earlier, and there's other meetings taking place that we're not privy to, and I think it's causing a lot of confusion and a lot of aggravation on this whole process.
I don't think there's meetings, like, it's not like, that I'm privy to, there
I'm
was
not
that.
saying it was you, but
No, I know,
mean,
but-
if there's one, there's probably more than one.
I don't know what goes on that I'm not invited to, so I can't speak to that, I don't know. I can tell you, I was not really ever involved in the planning commission's business until this subject came up, because it wasn't in my wheelhouse, and I have elections and other things to deal with, so.
But you made a response, so.
To this, yes, but I'm just saying, I don't know what the planning commission is doing, I can't tell you for sure. I know Home Year has not done it, that's all I'm saying. I don't know why, I don't know who, I don't know anything other than,
All I know
when
is.
we hired him, it was to take our ordinance and their suggestions and marry them together, and he has not done that. That's all I know.
Understood.
Can I tell you something? He has done that.
Okay, so your email implied that,
No, well, let me back up, Liz. In March, on the 13th, I handed the planning commission a list of 21 items that I went through and I picked out of his ordinances.
correct.
So we're a whole month back from last week. He put them all in. The second draft that came out for last week's meeting, my suggestions were in the ordinance. So he sat at that meeting, and I'm sick of the planning commission and, nope, I'm gonna settle down, I'm sorry. Okay,
What?
everything keeps being said that he's not writing the ordinance.
Sarah, come up
I
to
thought
the,
that's
come up
what
to
your
the.
email said, was
No,
that it
well, I'm not to
wasn't
that email
incorporated.
yet, I'm not there.
Oh, okay.
So, a whole meeting
Pick up the
back,
microphone, please.
I don't wanna.
I want you to.
You make us do it.
Touche, Liz, okay.
I don't wanna either.
I don't wanna do it, okay. In March, first ordinance comes out for the March meeting. I went through all those ordinances, I came to this list, gave it to the planning commission. George, you asked that I get it to Mr. Homier. I sent him this edit.
Correct.
The next meeting, for last week's meeting, my stuff's in there. So, is our PC not suggesting things, is my question, which I was gonna ask in the open call to the public. Because if he took my things, why is he,
We're not clear on what Megan is conveying to Mr. Holmes.
that's my point.
Okay.
Well, but if he
Okay,
had
so
that
then-
information and he incorporated it, I thought this
Nope.
email was saying that it wasn't being,
No.
your suggestions weren't being
Okay,
taken
so
into
then, so
consideration.
last week's meeting comes out,
Right,
that second draft comes out, that does include the things I asked for a month before, and some people in the community sat for many more hours and took all those same ordinances and added the stuff in red that you guys are seeing.
that's what I'm looking at
So
right now.
we presented that at last week's meeting and said, we would like that edit to be used for our sit-down town hall with the community so that we can advance way past all this nitpicking and get the basic sections in that we need to protect us. So the edits are in addition, but for you guys or people to say Homier's not making any changes, he has to be asked to do
I must have misunderstood. When I read your email, I got the impression, because you said in the beginning something about not listening to the people or something, I can't read it.
Well, you know, I can't.
But it was something, gave me the impression that you weren't getting your suggestions in the ordinance. That's the only reason I said he's not doing it. Like I said, the planning commission, the way it's set up, the board does this, the planning commission does that, the board, everybody has their thing, and they're independent appointed officials who do things. So he's involved a lot because he's the ex officio member. Amy and I don't know all the details. So it says here,
Well, yes and no, because there's a lot of things that
I mean,
I
we have
don't know.
responsibility, but I'm just saying that we don't know all the details. I can't tell you what Homier is or isn't doing.
Right.
I can't speak to what the planning commission is or isn't doing, because I can't.
But can I make a point?
Please.
At the planning commission meeting, I specifically did not say that the things I requested got in that ordinance. And you know why? Because there's such agitation between this community and that planning commission that I didn't want to boast that the things I asked for got put in there. But they're not things that I pulled out of the air. They're not things that are anti-solar. They're things that are in his ordinances that
In other communities, and you just incorporated them into that
and
body.
we tried to fast track that ordinance that one presented last week so that by the time we as a community can sit down for a town hall, it's not like us presenting every single item. It's like, let's go to a category and say, setbacks. What can we live with? What can't we? What is okay for legal? We're going to be here in October. It's going to be a year. The moratorium's going to be up the rate we're going. So if our PC is not giving him suggestions, and Megan had some things the other night that were good. I was glad she came with some suggestions. I feel like the things she was suggesting were actually fine-tuning legal things. We're not that far yet. Let's get the basic categories in to start.
And
So that's what we would
fine-tuning is
like.
part of the site plan review, and none of the fine-tuning really happens at the ordinance level.
No, well, wait.
The fine-tuning, I'm not saying none of the basic structure.
Yeah, but if you don't have it written in an ordinance, you cannot fine tune anything.
Gotta get the
All right,
basics.
you have to have specifics, and I think part of the problem with the original draft that got everybody upset, it was written in general terms, not specific terms. Okay?
Well, I guess it depends on what you're talking about. When I hear fine-tuning, I think of screening and things.
No.
That's what I thought
She
when
was
you
really,
say
like,
fine-tuning. I don't know, I wasn't there.
You weren't there.
I don't
One
know
thing
what
she
said.
indicated was like applicant versus homeowner, which was a very legitimate concern. I just think that's a little advanced for where we are at. And Mr. Witt on the planning commission had kind of suggested that people bring their concerns through us. You can only do so much in a meeting, we get that. We're just trying to get in front of the PC something to start with. And that's what we tried to make that red very clear as to what we added, so all the black is Homiers. The red is also Homiers. They're just from White Oak, Ulmer Township, and Marion Township. That's where those are coming from.
You're just incorporating other township
Yes,
ordinances.
and Mr. Homier has that edited version as well. I felt like the first draft was a bit of a step back from where we had already been, and that's what got the community riled up.
Well, is
That's what
that,
I was referring to, that I thought it wasn't getting incorporated, because I thought that it was like, just threw everything out and started over with the overlay district and this and that, and not all the details that were there before, so that's what I thought your email was referring to, and I apologize if I don't know what I said to you exactly without finding it.
I don't either, Liz.
I probably just said thank you and I'll pass it along, because I don't really know, but, I don't know all the details of all
He is
these
instituting
things.
changes.
And
There
I
were much
wasn't
changes
implying he
from the
wasn't doing
first to the second.
anything. I was under the impression, because of what you had said before, that he wasn't incorporating them, he had gone a different direction.
But please be aware that the PC is implying he's not making changes. And if you were to sit down from draft to draft and look and compare paragraph to paragraph, you will see changes he's making. But we have to ask, like I said at their meeting, he doesn't care what bushes we pick.
That's what I thought you meant by fine tuning, that's why I was like, that's not
That's
the
us as
play
a
right
community,
now.
get that stuff in. It's for him to say, no, that's a problem in the legal world. That's what we need to rely on him on, not if we want Norway spruce versus a arborvitae, he doesn't care.
Okay, so in your email, it said you were requesting, this came out after the meeting.
I keep requesting and I don't get it in the end, but it's okay.
No, no, that's not true. At the meeting, didn't they vote to have a town hall meeting? Because why, I don't understand why you can't take that draft, why do we need to?
No, I think that was the intent, was to take the draft that Sarah and I believe Kelly had put together and whatever Homer came up with, but because he wasn't there at the meeting, we couldn't really set a date for to have that meeting, but it was approved by the planning commission.
That's what I thought, it was approved to have the town hall meeting, and I thought they would be using this draft.
They never said that. They won't pin that down. I don't know. I guess it's because it came from the community or what they deem as.
Well, the way I
I don't
feel,
think they can pin it down, like George said, they have to talk to him about a date.
well,
Because he obviously didn't come at this last meeting because he had a conflict. If we just pick a date and he can't come, it's not going to be useful because I want him to speak to the public.
no, I understood, and I think that was part of that meeting, to have him there as the center focal point of the
Right.
meeting, to get this hashed out.
Right.
Okay? But because of the work that Sarah and Kelly have put together, a draft, they've basically taken on the role of the planner, okay, regardless of what anybody says, because that's what CICB did before, okay, they basically put together the draft. Well, that process has been taken by Kelly and Sarah, okay? So they're saving the township a lot of money, so my point is why not use that draft, to your point, and incorporate that into the town hall meeting and get this thing hashed out once and for all.
And I was under the impression that was happening. When I came to work
I don't
the
see,
next
I don't
day-
see it, I don't see the urgency at the planning commission, even though it was, motion was made and approved.
Okay, because I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't there. I came in the next day, and people that were in the audience said that they're scheduling a town hall meeting, and that Homer wasn't at the meeting, so they couldn't set a date. So I thought that was moving forward, and this draft was going with it.
That's what we're hoping for, but also, would it be possible, I heard you earlier say that this board can't tell the other board what to do. Is it possible for this board to reach out to Foster and Swift at Marion's last town hall, if you call it? Homer wasn't able to come, and he sent Laura Genovich. She did a great job. Sean Morrison brought it up in the meeting on Monday, and she did the, typing it in. I mean, they almost were gonna reset a meeting to put in Dan Lowe's changes. He's a trustee.
I didn't understand why he
She
didn't
sat
send a
and did it.
representative to last week's meeting. If he knew he couldn't come, maybe it was a last minute thing, because that's what I said. Why didn't he send a representative? They send their associates all the time, so I don't know the circumstances about why he wasn't here.
Well,
And I get that, things come up, but if he can't make it, and she was he taught her, is my understanding, and it's gonna require a sit-down to go back and forth and literally edit the ordinance as we go, why can't we see if she's available and call a special meeting? Because if we get to next month's meeting, then we decide on a public hearing, that's June, then it goes to the county, that's July, then it's back to you guys, it's August.
yes.
I agree with the urgency factor, and it seems like maybe this board doesn't have to tell the planning commission what to do, but maybe we could decide to lead with Foster and Swift, find out when they're available, and the community will come. It doesn't have to be at the next planning commission.
No, they're not intending to do it at the next planning commission meeting,
Okay.
because they know it's gonna take a lot longer than, they wouldn't wanna have a
My understanding was.
7 or 8 hour meeting. I
Well,
was
it's
told
gonna,
that.
it's gonna be an open meeting, but there'll be with one agenda item
Right,
to go over this solar ordinance, basically.
and
is the way I-
it's a town hall, so there's give and take.
It wasn't a planning commission meeting, we said.
What?
It was a town hall with the planning commission, we said at the meeting.
Correct.
Oh, because I had heard
Well,
someone said it
I
would be
misspoke, I'm
better
sorry.
not to because it would take too long. But again, I hear from people that were in the audience at the meeting, I don't have firsthand knowledge of that.
Who from the
The
planning
minutes,
commission?
I haven't seen the minutes yet.
Here to set this up?
What?
Are we
Who from the
opening up
planning
the,
commission is in charge of getting a date to set a date with home here so
Well,
it can happen fast?
I believe in Marion Township, the board schedules the town hall meeting, so I guess we could certainly schedule a town hall meeting. I don't know that the planning commission has to be the one to schedule that. What I was referring to, and I said we can't make them do things, motions have been made here that we make them have special meetings. We expressly cannot force them to call a special meeting. It's up to the chair. Like for the board, only the supervisor can call a special meeting in writing, all this other stuff. So we certainly, as the board, could schedule a town hall meeting because it's just a give and take. It's not us telling the planning commission what to do. We can't tell them to schedule a meeting. But if they were going to what I heard, and I believe it was from an audience member in the that was in the office the next day, said that they talked about it, they shouldn't do it at the meeting because it would be too long, but they would do it like in between this last meeting and the next meeting so that you'd have everything.
Yeah, Sean, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
I got a fair amount I'd like to add to it when Sarah's done. This is upsetting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Come get the mic.
I have not spoke to the planning commissioners about this. I'm just telling you, like, there's always people that come into the office from the audience or, you know, that tell us things that were said or done, and it's only hearsay to George's point in the past, so
Let
we'll hear it from him.
Sean speak.
George, I'm upset with you
Why's that?
because you are part of the planning commission. You sat here tonight, 2 meetings ago, as we said, we had Homer here.
Yep.
And that was a poorly constructed ordinance we put together. Poorly.
It wasn't constructed by us.
Right, he did it. That was poorly done.
Your point is what?
We sat at that meeting that night with him and talked about a screen so we could present it at the next meeting and make progress instead of just conversing about things. Did we not?
Yes, we did.
Homer texted during a meeting the other night, sorry, I couldn't make it, I had a family calendar conflict. At the meeting.
That's what I heard.
We just wasted all our time and effort. We were gonna construct things. Now, what I'm upset with you about is you wanna put a time frame on our thing. You're part of it. You speak as you weren't. Is there something we missed on a planning commission other than the ordinance? Because it sounded like we didn't get something accomplished beyond the ordinance, the solar ordinance.
No, there's other things that can be taken in part in a planning
Did we
commission
miss
meeting.
it? Did we miss something?
As far as what?
We didn't miss something, or we did not get to something.
No, but it could have been an agenda item, Sean, that could be added to the planning commission agenda that wasn't done.
But there was nothing on our agenda to do.
That's the point.
Okay, so, but it sounded like, George, the planning commission failed.
No, it wasn't an agenda item to have any more discussions on any other item regardless of the content or the subject
What
matter.
I got from you was that we're not getting to everything, and the planning commission ought to be told that we need to get done these other ordinances, these other parts.
Sean,
other than just
Sean, how long's this been going on?
months.
It's been going on for too damn long.
But you know what? We haven't gained ground other than Sarah's presentation to us in 2 months, 2 meetings, 1 month, 5 weeks.
Sean, this has been going on for well over a year.
We came to this with Homer to get this done.
Sean, this has been going on for well over a year.
Close to 2.
We haven't talked about Homer. When Homer's here, that's when we hope to get this ahead, George.
He wasn't
Started
here.
in
He was here
December,
2 meetings ago.
Correct.
And we haven't gained any ground since then.
And your point is what?
How can we put a 60-day thing
It's
on it?
not getting done, Sean.
Then can we make sure Homer gets to our next meeting?
We could have either Homer here or a representative of the,
And as
as
she
Sarah
said,
recommended.
I highly recommended, and you heard me at the last meeting, that we got his associate because she was better than him.
I don't know that, I'm just getting your
I was
opinion
there,
of that.
right, and
okay?
she just said it, and I think some others will tell you from
That's
Marion
fine,
Township.
that's fine.
They walked through their whole thing in 1 meeting,
I'm good.
minimized their billing hours, and got it done. It's
Did you
on
make a
Homer.
motion at the planning commission to do that?
I did.
And what was the results?
Nothing. You were sitting there.
Welcome to the planning commission.
What was the planning commission
I
motion?
recommended at our meeting the other night.
Did you make a motion?
I did. My recommendation, the motion was from, right after Megan got done, I spoke and I said, I recommend that we get his associate because of how good she went through it, and she was very good at being able to move through the whole thing, delete and add to every line. Did I not?
Well, you recommended, that's not a motion, in fairness, Sean.
That was recommended at that meeting.
Did it get voted in?
No, it's.
Nothing.
It wasn't a
Because it
motion,
wasn't a
Sean.
motion, but
If
it
you don't
could have
motion,
certainly been said, is that a motion? Would you like
I'm
to
not
make a
against
motion?
what you're saying.
But she is what we need. He isn't getting it done for us. And we could put a 60-day on, but if we don't have him or somebody associate to get it finished, we're not gonna move forward.
Understood.
When's the next?
But you need to make a motion.
Okay, so this is,
Around and around.
no, I'm just thinking about
When's the next planning commission? Is it the
May, first,
We asked-
second Monday in May. If the board, I'm speaking to the board, but I'm speaking to you too. First of all, if somebody contacts the lawyer, I don't wanna get yelled at because I called the lawyer and
No, wait,
talked about something.
there's only certain people who can do that.
I said, I am one of them, so if I contact the lawyer, does the board have a motion about the board scheduling a town hall meeting and requesting,
Hobier or representative or?
What was her name again, Sean?
Laura Genovich.
that's what I was just gonna ask, what her name was.
You wanna make that a motion now?
The thing is I wanna finish this.
I wanna
But
ask,
the
like,
other night-
is it appropriate for
the
us
other
to
night
say,
we
we don't want
asked-
you, we want your associates, so.
Right, it's a tough thing, and that's what I said, without, hurting
Well,
his feelings, so to
he doesn't
speak.
get his feelings hurt, so.
That girl was very fluent with what she did. But the other night, we mentioned having a meeting before the next meeting, and we couldn't do it because we didn't have a budget to do so, right?
No, it was because we didn't know if homing was available, but we should have brought in, to your point, the other lady that you're talking about now, and incorporated her into that motion, and we could have had scheduled the meeting.
But we had asked, I thought, to do one prior to the next planning
That's
meeting.
what I thought, but
And
back
you
there
said
you said it was
we
the
had to have an
same.
approved budget to be able to come back for an extra meeting.
I said that?
No,
Yeah.
oh, that's kind of old school
It is.
thinking that the old board was very tight about the planning commission spending money. We know this has to get done, and it's not, we budgeted plenty of money for the attorneys, probably not enough, but
I believe Mr. Wick said the same thing the other day, but it was tossed over because it wasn't going to have a budget to do so.
I mean, like I
I
said.
mean, we now
that's-
have this to go back on, but
That's
we
the
can look at,
old-
but.
That's the old way that the prior board was very strict with, there's a person in the back that's nodding his head. They were like, you can't spend money without our approval, which is true, but when we budget something, you can do stuff, and they can't just go off doing whatever they want, going to Acapulco, but there's no thing that says they can't schedule a special meeting. So anyway,
If we're gonna get ahead, as we spoke the last time, we need to get this gal in here, we need to get a screen, we need to get these people, and we need to go through this, and we'll be there.
well, I
That
was
easy.
talking about, because of the sound system, I was talking with people about projectors and screens and blah, 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 and how we're gonna do things in the future and whatever. So we would probably have to rely on outside help to get some kind of temporary situation to.
It's very curious how, like I said, we
The
didn't get
gentleman in the
anything.
corner is distracting me with his dance, but I will speak to him afterwards. But we
2
were talking
meetings
about
ago,
you
we did-
projected up there, but we need to see something here. We've projected things on the wall, but then we can't see, and it's just a whole thing. So I'm not an AV specialist.
We talked about a screen for the back wall, is what we talked about.
I'll bring in a sheet, how's that?
Yeah, 'cause I.
And a project, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm saying logistically, because we need a projector, and we just
Homer
don't.
said he.
Homer has that.
That's what I was
just gonna
gonna say, we would rely on him to provide that stuff, or his associate or whatever. So anyway, I thought the meeting was proposed for in between the planning commission. When you were sitting back there, you just said, no, it was during the planning commission.
Right,
Just
because
now, I thought you said in between again.
Need a special meeting.
We couldn't have a special meeting in between, is
You
what was
can't.
talked about.
Shouldn't it be planned at the school in this case there's too many people?
It just depends on whether or not the school's available. They weren't available because
But
they
if you have
have,
them all here and there's too many people, then it's not even gonna be a meeting, so it's just a waste of time.
I know, but if the school's not available, we can't make it happen. So, there's less people here now, and the school wasn't available, so that's why we came back here. But, so I guess what I'm looking for, do you have more to say, or do you want, okay.
Can I make a suggestion before you write that motion?
Here, use the microphone.
I already wrote it, but go ahead.
I don't think it's worth
Instead of asking Hovier to send Laura, could you just say, Mr. Hovier, we would like a meeting similar to the one Marion Township had. So we would like the edits to be made live. If you can't do that, could you send an associate that could help, that could do that with us?
I already have that down. I know you guys think I'm stupid, but I'm really not. I already, that's why I asked her name, and that's why I was writing everything down.
Well, read the motion.
I was gonna, but he wanted to speak before I did so.
Are you done, Jim?
Until she reads it, I might have more to say.
Okay, go ahead, read it. I wasn't gonna make the motion, I was gonna ask for
It's
one.
too late,
but
you're making it.
I'm going to now. So, I would like to make a motion that the board schedule a town hall meeting with attorneys from Foster Swift and the planning commission in attendance to make edits to the submitted draft and have a final, solar draft with a aim for a final,
Version.
maybe I am stupid. A final version to be submitted at the May planning commission meeting. I didn't write it all down, but I can tell it to you again. Did you get it?
Hovier or representative?
I said attorneys from Foster Swift, because it could be him, her, both, 100 people, I don't know.
If you reference the Marion meeting, they'll get it.
Yeah.
Well, I can do that in my conversation, it doesn't have to be in the motion, because you guys are lauding them for what they did in Marion Township, and everybody in Marion Township screaming at Marion Township, so.
To be clear though,
But are you saying which draft? The edited people draft or the draft they have right now? Because they're two very different things.
The draft
The
that
draft that we have in
I've
front of
got
us
emailed
with your red,
I thank you endlessly.
because I thought that
See if
was,
we can make it happen.
Perfect, that's, yes.
are you happy? Did I do good?
I don't think.
Again, I'm not gonna fine tune it by saying Marion Township, but I will in the conversation, but I'm not gonna put that in the motion because I don't, like, again, we don't wanna say, oh, we're doing what Cahacta did, and then everybody's like, well, we're not Cahacta, so I'm not gonna say that, but I will tell him that the people that were at the Marion Township meeting liked the way it was handled, and we want that type of town hall here.
Perfect.
So are we picking the day?
No, I'm going to contact them tomorrow and tell them we need it scheduled in the next week or two, so it's before the May meeting for the planning commission, and they'll, I mean, I can throw out dates,
are you
but
gonna communicate with Megan on that meeting?
when it's scheduled,
Yeah.
yes. I will tell everyone, including the newspaper and the website and everybody else, but I'm going to just pick a date with them when they're available, so we don't have a situation where everyone's there and they're not.
Well, that's what I thought we did at last Monday's meeting, but.
But then he didn't come at the last minute, so that's why I'm saying I'm gonna call him first, I'm not gonna pick a date.
That's fine.
So send somebody.
The motion is to have the board schedule a town hall meeting with the planning commission and attorneys from Foster Swift to go through the ordinance draft with the aim of having a final version at the planning commission meeting in May.
The solar ordinance?
The solar ordinance, sorry, put solar in it. Like, we all know that, but put solar ordinance draft. She already had it written down, I just didn't say
Is
it.
that?
That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, Mr. Morrison, do you have anything else to interject? I love you, Bill.
So the next item on the agenda is.
I'll see you after the meeting.
Oh, that was fighting words.
He'll beat you out the dumpster.
Number 17, Conway Land Company lots.
I can't get his red face.
Look at him, yeah, get him on there, okay. Look at the camera.
He's crying now.
George is crying because he's so upset.
Yes, I'm so.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Sean. Sean's back
Oh,
there.
gee, thank you very much, thank you, thanks, Sean.
We're full service out here, don't we?
Jeannie needs one, George. She's
No, I'm
crying, she's
good.
crying because she's laughing.
She's laughing at me, thanks, Sean.
You're still mad because you didn't get in the retirement village at number 15.
Order!
Oh, sure, now.
Well, you looked at me with that pathetic statement. All right, people, let's get started.
I will be talking to you
We're gonna
after.
be here until midnight. So the last item on the agenda is the Conway Land Company lawsuit.
Is there anything we can discuss on that?
It depends on what you want to discuss. I sent
Moving
you.
forward,
Yes, it was not dismissed as I sent you the information.
Well, yeah, it wasn't clear in there as far as.
I didn't read all the detail, but I read some of it, but yeah, I guess. I was planning on calling the guy, because they haven't communicated with me personally.
Yeah, 'cause you
Whatever
just
they
got it
send me,
today,
I
right?
send to you. Yeah, so, I was gonna call and say, hey, is there anything we need to know, what are we doing? But, we're not discussing strategy, so.
No, I just was
You're
wondering.
not, because you weren't here at the time. Yeah, that's the only thing I read, was the witness. Anything else? Board member discussion?
I know, we've already talked about it, already it's been approved, it really irks my buttons. Can we talk about the work shirts again?
No, only because it's been approved, it was in the budget.
I know, it's, just,
I mean, you're welcome to bring it up as an agenda item another time, and you can talk about it all day long right now, but we're not just, this board member discussion isn't something that's getting done.
no, I just,
I don't know.
did anybody ever think of like maybe just getting like screen print shirts?
That's what they are.
No, like a select size, like you bulk order,
Oh,
and then that way you hand them out to the certain people that wanted them, you still have extra. in
that's a
case-
higher outlay of cost in the first place.
Not really, because you could have ordered like a bulk order, say from Signature Signs, and screen print shirts, select size, and passed out to whoever wanted them. And it could have been like around $500-600, and you would have had a ton of shirts. That's just me thinking.
Okay, I hear you, but I just respectfully that the point was to have, nicer wear stuff, like, I don't wear t-shirts to work. Some people do depending on their position, but, I have been in contact with different companies. But in reality, the employees could order from wherever they want. They just get an allowance, and they really only get 2 or 3 things with that $100. Even if I went on, like I was for a different reason, I was on custom ink or Vista Printer, different places, just looking for
I was
prices.
just trying to keep it cheap.
No, I know, but I don't think really, we could order bulk t-shirts for $20, $30 a piece with custom logos and all that jazz, but, in the long run, inevitably, you're gonna have, because I do a lot of conference stuff for different organizations, you're gonna have all these shirts, like, oh, we're all out of 2Xs and everybody, all we got left is smalls, and then everybody's complaining, so then you got a thing full of small and medium sitting there that nobody wears. Because we can't hire based on people's size, because that's the t-shirts we have. I'm not making light of your suggestion and just injecting humor. But, it's already been approved and budgeted. The only, I believe, per Robert's rules, the only way an item that's been passed can be brought back up is somebody that voted for it, brings it back. You can't, someone that's been voted down, because otherwise you never get anything done. Yeah, so I'm not, you could certainly bring it up next year for the budget and discuss it again after, I understand, and it's again, another thing, like a well thought out process and based upon other communities' policies and the way they present
Is there
themselves.
something written,
We do have a procedure and a policy about how, but I-
attire, employee attire? In the
in
policy?
the personnel manual, you didn't read it? Well, I don't know.
We just signed your name
Well,
yeah, I read it.
I helped write it, but that was like 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, so. Yes, there probably is something about business as usual, but, nobody's in here wearing days and beaks and tank tops, but like people that are in the field wear t-shirts. You can wear whatever you want.
You heard it, you heard it.
People that work out in the field dress more casually than people that are in the office. And when I go to a cemetery committee meeting and dig up yucca plants with a chainsaw, I'm not wearing my work attire, I'm wearing a shirt or sweatshirt or whatever. But there's not a specific hard dress code. Okay, and if somebody, if you want to separate the names and that stuff, then somebody else is going to have to work on it, because I'm not all the time. And nobody else. So, that was board member discussion. Anybody else have anything for board member discussion? George?
No.
Last call to the public. Any item, any issue. That's what it says on the agenda. You don't have to fill out one of those slips. Oh, he's leaving. Somebody was going to get a slip. Mike Brown.
Correct. So I have a few different things here. The first one is, you said you can't push the board and you're not supposed to have interaction with the PC board and all these kind of things, but yet on a Zoom call, you're on the Zoom call, so that's very still alarming to me. Whomever put you on that Zoom call, whether it was somebody from the PC that asked Homier to put you on there, or he did it himself, to me, it's alarming.
I was just an observer.
I know, I don't need to comment really, I'm just saying, I know it's not you, right? You didn't ask to be in the Zoom call, right? I'm just saying, it's alarming to me, whomever put
The
you.
attorney is the one who organized it.
Okay, whether he did it or he was asked to put you on there, I guess we don't know.
Neither
But
do I.
maybe we can find out. So that's number one. Also, I know Marion keeps being brought up and stuff like that. Their board actually took away their ordinance from their PC board because they got tired of them taking too long and not giving them something that they could work with and move forward with. So their actual board is the one who finished up their ordinance for solar. So that's number two. So if you can get some sort of a semi-draft from them, you can finish it up here on this board if you choose to do so. I know it may not set a great precedence of doing things like that, but if that's what it takes to get the PC board off their duff, in my opinion, that's what needs to be done.
Do you want to comment on that or no?
I'd love them.
Marion Township is probably going to be sued for doing that.
Okay.
So I'm not saying we can't, but
That's why I said that it may set a
It
bad
already went
precedence
through
or
the
whatever,
county.
but they got it done.
that doesn't matter. There can still be a lawsuit filed.
Yeah,
for-
they just chose not to send it back to their PC.
Oh, that's allowed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, that's
Oh,
what
yeah,
I'm
that
saying.
is allowed.
I said, if you can get a halfway decent thing from them, you can finish it up yourself, is what I'm saying. You have that ability, right? You can adjust and do things at the end. And when they did that, they sat there it was a special called meeting, and it was about 2.5 hours that they went through it, line item by line item, and finished it. They got it done. And Handy Township did the same thing when they did the test track, the stuff for the test track. They sat there as a board and they hammered it out on a day before a holiday. I'll tell you that one too. They got it done. This does not happen with our PC board. And the next thing I want to know about
Mr. Brown, real quick, Mr. Brown. It used to be that way, okay? And Dennis Baldwin can attest to that. He's sitting in the
He's
back.
on the county
Yep.
planning
Okay,
commission.
but I sat with him when he was chair, and that's the way we used to do it. Line by line, comma by comma, period by period.
Correct.
Okay, that was the old school way.
But Marion just did it old school.
I'm just
in
telling you the
today's
way that
version.
we used to do it. That's all I'm telling.
I understand that. I know how it used to be. And I'm just saying that you're tired, we're tired, we're all tired of it. But for some reason, And I don't know the answer to this, but I don't understand why there wasn't a subcommittee made through the PC board. We have 7 people on our PC board. You could make a 3-person committee that is strictly for solar to get all these things from the people and draft a good ordinance. We had 2 people that took all the suggestions from everybody else and somehow they could get it done. But 7 people on the board couldn't get it done. I don't understand why they didn't have a subcommittee to do this. And you can do that. There's 7 people. You can have 3 people to do that. And you don't have a quorum. So it's legal. So it's very possible that should have been done from day one. That should have been done by our PC board. And what I'm getting at is the chair of our PC board seems like she's trying to control everything, but nothing ever gets done. That's where that, in my opinion, from sitting where I sit and watch this go on and on and on and on, that's how I see it. That's my personal opinion. Number 2, I guess you would say, of this would be was sort of already discussed about the Zoom meeting, and the way I read, and I'm not a lawyer, but the way I read all the things that I have read about the 2 separations of the board and all that stuff, the only one that should be having conversations with both boards is the ex officiato. That is it. You're not supposed to have interactions between this board and the PC board other than that person and that person only. That's how I read it. The next thing is, what Sarah said with her suggestions, on that same PC meeting, I suggested 11 items, and all 11 of those items got changed or addressed from Mr. Homier. So again, I go back to what is being told to him, who is telling him from the PC board, who is the one that is talking to him. Now, according to the way I understand it, is the only one that can talk to him is our chair, PC chair. So again, it's failure in my eyes on the chair, not giving him the information that she is given, or refusing to give the information from us that she is given, one or the other. The next thing is I was wondering how many bids you are getting for the IT from different companies.
I'm gonna advertise, so I'm gonna call a few myself that I recommended, but other than that, anyone who applies, anyone that answers the ad, I certainly will take as many as we can get. Typically, we can't get very many. And I do always call around and ask people, but even then, they say they'll do stuff and don't, so I can't guarantee how many I'll get.
Okay, and I understand that's today's world a little bit, and you can call, but as somebody that was in the building business for now over 35 years, you have to solicit bids by phone.
I said I do that.
I know, but this has been an issue, and I'm not saying it's you, because in my opinion, some of the things that you are doing, you really shouldn't be doing. I do agree with some of that it does get dumped on you. And it should be being done by somebody else on the board. But you need to solicit bids for everything and get as many as possible.
We do, I always have.
But even with the tree thing, we had 1 bid and then you got another bid, so it was 2 bids somehow.
But I solicited and talked to 15 people,
Right.
and they didn't submit bids.
I understand that, and I understand that's a little bit of today's world and how it works. I understand that. And then the other thing with the PC board, and things are being said about what they are doing, aren't doing, whatever. I can tell you this, that Marion Township and Handy Township both are working right now on, and one of them has it done, containers and crypto mining, both. And that's not even been brought up in this township. Not one word about crypto mining. But yet, they are both looking at it and looking into the future. not waiting for it to come to us and reacting. They are being proactive and looking at it now.
So I guess are you asking the ex officio member doing next steps with the planning commission? Since you said he's the only one that can approach the planning commission about things, are you asking him to bring up those?
No, I didn't.
Because anyone can add an agenda item, anyone on the planning commission can ask the chair to add an agenda item.
Right, I understand that. And I think it does need to be brought up to them, that these are things that need to be looked at and started to look at. I mean, going to a county meeting and they said you should be looking 50 years down the road, not 5, not 10. You should be
Right.
looking 50 to see, like, you know, see where you want to be at.
Right.
So let's not wait for this to come to us like solar did. Let's get ahead of the ball game here a little bit and like start pecking away at this stuff and figuring out who does have good ordinances already for these kinds of things and looking at them and giving good suggestions instead of waiting to the last minute.
State your name, please.
Sarah Parker.
Troublemaker.
I noticed right away, Sarah Parker.
I never even heard it, so that's fine.
It was in,
As long as we
I don't
get,
remember, I think it was in the minutes or
as
something.
long as we get the ordinance done, I don't care what you call me, at all. One thing I want to note is, I know we should be very, very cautious to not skip any steps, not go through the planning commission. From a legal standpoint, we need to dot our i's and cross our t's. There are things that need to be done, so if a couple people can sit down and write an ordinance in 9 hours, it can be done. We've done most of the work. We need to sit, go through the sections, and go one by one and hammer it out. As for last week's planning commission meeting, I heard there was a girl there that got really, really upset. Although tonight I heard her described as strong-willed. So in my defense, I hope that this board and that board can realize that the comments made by that commissioner were inappropriate at this juncture. After 6 months of us fighting and us spending our time and spending our Sundays and looking through ordinances, to be called anti-solar is inappropriate. We're so far, that's so October. So I caution them to, you know, there's strong-willed people on both sides of this, on the desk side and on the audience side, and we need to sit down and work together, and we've said that repeatedly. And when meetings get brought up and dates don't happen, and I fully understand and support that we need to let the lawyers lead, because if their calendar's open, let's make it work. But it has had a tendency from the PC chair to get brought up and the can keeps getting kicked down the road. I was very upset. I had never intended in that meeting, I presented the board with that edited version from the people. I never intended to even say that I spent my Easter day doing that, because I'm not looking for credit. I'm not looking for accolades. I'm not looking for attaboys. I'm looking for an ordinance. We are looking for an ordinance that protects the health, safety, and general welfare of the majority of this community. We need the township's help to do that. And I hope that our town hall can be effective, not us regurgitating things we've been saying for 6 months that we want in the ordinance. Sit down, have legal representation there. If it's Laura, if it's Homer, whoever it is, to actually make real-time edits as we go, so that we're set to give something to the county the PC's happy with, the county's happy with, and we can move on. Thank you.
Jason Simmons, Harrington Road. The only thing I got is, it's been talked about for at least last couple months, I believe, as far as this overlay district. And I know at the last planning commission meeting last week, you know, there were certain things that depending on where this overlay district is, depends on, you know, the way some of the things are written, because it was brought up about the setbacks and whatnot. If you're on a 2-acre lot, or 5-acre lot, you can't have a 1,000-foot setback, because that's the whole lot. So, we've heard about this overlay, if it could be brought up to Mr. Homier, the attorneys, whatever, the next time that they come, we see what the plan is for this overlay, to help us in the other points.
I fully expected that to happen at the last week's meeting, and maybe it would have if he'd been there, but I don't know.
Whether
That's
it's
what I
a
was
special
thinking was
meeting
gonna
or the
happen.
next planning commission meeting, if we can see an overlay as
To your point, it needs to happen as soon as possible.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's all.
Jim Choate, 7540 Barlow Road. With this, the first ordinance that us as a community drew up, we sat in here, you all let us sit down and discuss it. It's probably not the same draft that you have, but literally, we went line by line, and 4 hours later, we were complete. Not a perfect draft, but we went through it in 4 hours. And there were more of us, so there were more opinions. Why can't we do this? It's not that difficult. Again, thank you for the sound system.
The microphone stand was to be installed today, and you can see there's holes drilled when they went to screw it in, the mounting bracket broke. So next month it'll be there.
Anybody else?
So at the planning commission meeting, the last thing I said, and I think I was the last person to say anything to the planning commission, is you have to decide whether you're going to utilize Mr. Homier's second draft or whether you're going to use Sarah and Kelly's. That's got to be decided. And as Jason said, to me, it's absolutely critical to find out what Mr. Homier's thoughts are on this overlay district and how he is determining what our demonstrated need is. We've got to keep in mind that our demonstrated need is probably going to increase in the future. So frankly, I would like to know those two things before we go into this special town hall meeting. We're all frustrated because there hasn't been any progress. I don't care how long it takes. I just want to see some good progress every meeting. And the next two things we have to determine is this demonstrated, how the demonstrated need is determined and where the overlay district is going to be. All right, I'm going to switch topics here. Liz, a couple meetings ago, I think it was at the special budget meeting, we talked about retraction on the FIFO request. And you were going to, you explained that you have that training. There was some things you didn't feel comfortable with that you were, that you have the attorney do. You were going to talk to the attorney, and our hope was that you could do it all.
You're talking about redacting the attorney
Redacted.
bills? I did talk to the attorney, and it is totally inappropriate for anyone but the person who, I talked to the attorney, and no, I cannot redact their bills. They do it. They are the ones who decide what is and isn't appropriate. It's not within my purview at all. And I've had multiple trainings on FOIAs from the state police, from all over the place, all kinds of people. And most townships send all their FOIA requests to the attorney. I only send ones that I'm a little unsure about when they're unclear. I do most of them, but I am not going to redact attorneys' bills for them. We get charged, and the person who subscribed to the redacted bills gets them every month, and they paid a subscription fee, and that's just how that works. Other FOIA requests I handle on my own. I've been here 7 years tomorrow, and I don't waste money, I don't shirk responsibility, I take on a lot more responsibility than my clerk duties prescribe, and I guess didn't realize I was supposed to report back about the attorney redaction, but,
You know, the problem is we never get much feedback from you, and we certainly don't get really any feedback from Megan on the planning commission. That would be greatly appreciated. I mean, when someone asks you a question, it would be nice to get that answer.
I believe I answered it last month, and I believe I answered the person who subscribed specifically. I may or may not have on, see, I'm good with the person who asked for the redacted bills, and I didn't understand, I guess, that it was a public question that I needed to answer publicly at the next meeting, but I thought I talked about it last month.
Maybe I missed it. Also, something I want to suggest, especially while the grubs are not here. It is always, I understand it's perfectly legal, and it happens in a lot of townships to have married couples or related couples on the board. Something that has always bothered me, though, is that prior to this, Mr. Grubb was the assistant treasurer while his wife was the treasurer. I think that's asking for trouble. And I think, what's the word, we should have a forensic or audit.
Forensic.
Oh, forensic.
Forensic.
Audit, yes. We don't know. Maybe you have an idea, Liz, but to me, it was just not a good situation.
I agree that it wasn't a good situation, but the law states that, first of all, the electors elect people. So the township voters in 2020 elected Mr. Grubb, knowing that Mrs. Grubb was the treasurer. I agree with you that there was more of a chance of misbehavior. I'm not saying they did anything wrong when he was her deputy, but the clerk and the treasurer must appoint a deputy, and they have complete autonomy over who they appoint. Whether you like it or not is something you should take up with the legislature, because they're the ones that draft the laws that say these things. It is very common about married couples. I don't think it's appropriate either, but I didn't elect him. So there's very little that can be done by us in in August of 2024 is when you should be voting on your township people in the primary, because in this county, there's very few candidates on the Democratic side, so usually Republicans run unopposed by a Democrat, so the actual elections are decided at the primary by whoever's on the Republican ballot. So
In addition to that, they ran unopposed.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They run well, no, he ran against Mike Wright.
She did.
She has run she was appointed 13 years ago and has never been opposed since. So, again, I'm not defending the position, I'm just explaining that the voters
Yeah, I
hired.
understand that, I understand
And
that. They won the election fair and square.
And
Yeah. To
a
Steve,
forensic audit is,
there was a motion made a few years back for a forensic audit, and it went down.
and that was a long time,
Sooner than a few years back. There was-
no, it was
in my time because I made the motion.
Yeah, it was since 2020.
It wasn't
Yeah,
November.
I say it was sooner than a few years back, George. It's been the last 6 months there was one made.
Oh, there was no motion for a forensic audit, not by a board member.
Yes,
Yes.
In the last 6 months?
not 6 months.
That's what I'm
6, 8
saying, I
months.
remember when you did it,
Since
and I
since
said,
last October-ish or so, because that's when I started attending these meetings on a regular basis. And it's been done since I've been attending these.
Respectfully, I just don't remember.
I don't remember that either. But I do remember you bringing it up, and I
wasn't
wanted,
on the board.
and I said, what is the purpose? And you didn't want to just explain. I would have supported the concept if I'd known why, just because I don't think, and not that anyone's required to say why they want something, but to get support, sometimes you gotta explain your position. And I didn't know, if what I was looking for was a lack of confidence in what had been going on when 2 board members were married. But again, it's not illegal, and I am not in any way saying they did anything wrong, but I don't think it's inappropriate to have an audit. But a forensic audit is very expensive, so in my opinion, we needed to have a reason. It's not something you just, it's like, we get audited every year, but it's not as in-depth as a forensic audit. So it's not typically done, but it can be. And I don't remember a year ago, I thought it was when you first got on the board, when the 2 of them were here and you were saying you wanted it, and like I said, I would have supported it if there'd been a reason, but just to say it, I wanted to have a rationale for why we were spending $20,000 or whatever.
It was motioned and seconded by the.
It was seconded, I didn't think it got support, that's why.
It got shot down real fast.
I didn't remember it getting support, so I don't.
I'm trying to.
But it was in 2020 when you first took off?
Yeah, it was a lot.
21 then, but this is 23, so. Anyway, it wasn't within the last 6 months.
There was a motion made and it was never seconded. George made the motion for a forensic audit and he couldn't get it seconded.
That's what I remembered, but I remembered it being a long time ago.
Yeah, I just remembered it, I remembered that a while back.
Since October.
Was it?
We've all had 7 birthdays since fighting solar, that's why.
It would be in the minutes, right?
Was it when the former, now 2 times ago, former deputy treasurer resigned that you requested it? Yep. That's what she's remembering.
It
You
was
may have
before
asked a
Gabi was
second
here,
time.
yeah, it was.
Well, because
No, it was after.
she resigned as deputy treasurer and maybe you brought up again. I don't remember. She's now on her 3rd deputy since him.
But also, forensic audit is very different from what you receive annually.
Oh, I said that.
Okay.
I said, a forensic audit is very different.
It's very different. Management representations are what you get. So if someone's pulling the wool over everyone's eyes, they're gonna represent that they're not. So it's a very different beast.
Well, I think the issue partly was because of the use of QuickBooks. I think was part of the reason for the basis for a forensic audit.
Why would that be a basic for
Versus the normal accounting software that they use in other.
I've been pitching to buy the other accounting software, but it's very expensive and nobody wants to spend the money. It's
Well, if I
like-
remember correctly, I think the auditor said something to the effect that, edits or inputs into the accounting could be changed or modified even after, nobody would know the difference.
Can I respond to that? Because I have something I was going to read earlier and I just remembered, so I'm gonna do it now. Last month, Sarah Porter read a portion of an email from Mr. Grubb to her. And I would like to say that the assertions he made were untrue. So according to MCL 4165, the township clerk of each township has custody of all records, books, and papers of the township when no other provision for custody is made by law. The township clerk shall file and safely keep all certificates, oaths, other papers required by law to be filed in his or her office and shall record those items required by law to be recorded. The records, books, papers shall not be kept where they be exposed to unusual hazard or fire or theft. The township clerk shall deliver them to their successor. I'm going to start paraphrasing because it's not really relevant, but it goes on and on. But it says the township clerk shall also open and keep an account with the treasurer and shall charge the treasurer with all funds that come into the treasurer's hands by virtue of his or her office, and shall credit him or her with all money paid out by the treasurer on the order of the proper authorities of the township, and enter the dates and amounts in the vouchers and the books. So basically, as we get farther down, I was accused of locking the supervisor out of the general ledger. The clerk is the only one who's lawfully supposed to enter anything into the general ledger, and the treasurer reconciles the accounts as a check and balance. The supervisor has no statutory authority whatsoever to make any kind of transactional entries into the accounting software. And I use a uniform chart of accounts that the state provides to report things in the general ledger. So the supervisor and the treasurer, and this is partly about QuickBooks is why I'm saying this, have limited access because of those restrictions. The supervisor has he can read anything he wants.
But that's not what he said.
It's not what he said, but I'm telling you the truth.
Okay.
He has limitations in that he can only read or export to Excel reports and then he can manipulate stuff. No, he does not and will not and hasn't had access to make entries into the accounting software. He shouldn't.
No.
And neither does she. So her and the deputy treasurer only have access to reconcile the accounts. And they can also read reports and things. But
So he can drill into accounts and see detail?
yes. He just can't make entries.
So why would he say otherwise?
Because he doesn't know how to use it, probably.
It is exactly why, but I wasn't going to say that. If he clicked on the thing, he could have seen it. He just doesn't know how. So the supervisor the clerk maintains the ledger and the treasurer reconciles the accounts. The supervisor prevents a budget and has access to all reports in the software. He can export data and make changes, but only the clerk or deputy clerk can enter the transactions. This is backed up by the law I just read you, by the auditors, nowhere in statute does it say anything about the supervisor having authority to perform any work in the township's financial records. It's not a personal vendetta by me against him like he presented to you, at least that's how I took it.
Well, it didn't sound right, I'll give you that.
But I have worked here 7 years and I have done my best to perform my proper duties, and I don't appreciate having a fellow board member send lies to residents, and so I wanted...
What are you reading there, Liz, though? What are you reading on your computer?
Oh, I wrote a little thing with that MCL, and I don't have the email pulled up,
Can you email me that?
Yeah.
I would love that, thank you.
I wrote it up so I know what to say and not get frustrated, because I was very upset when you read that, not at you, but that he would say that to you and that it was lies. So I'm just saying, that's the law. There's a reason he doesn't have access.
And I get that, but
as you pointed out, if the husband and the wife can do whatever they used to, when I got here, everybody could do whatever they wanted, and I have locked that down, but within the law. And I have tried to get the other software, but it's like 10 or 15,000 initially and 6,000 a year or something. Now QuickBooks is going to become more expensive too. So I would have proposed we use ARPA funds to pay for the new software and become where all of the software is integrated. It's not now, and unless somebody's willing to spend that money.
That was the issue brought up by the auditor, that's why I made that comment, and that's what prompted the forensic audit.
He said it's very common that small townships have it, and it is, but I also know many small townships that have BS&A, and they say they wouldn't do without it because it's worth it. And I agree, but no one, in the past, the board hasn't been willing to spend the money because most people, to Amy's point, don't even understand books, so they don't know what's involved or how important or how difficult or whatever. The assessing program, the tax program, and the BS&A accounting software would all work in tandem, where right now we have to manually enter things and do a lot more work, but that's...
Well, maybe for checks and balances, periodically an audit trail in QuickBooks can be ran and given to the board members to make sure nothing's changed after the fact.
I can run audit trail reports. Amy does receive the bank statements. Because the reconciliations go in the packet, but she actually gets copies of the bank statements so she can make sure that what's being represented on the reconciliation report. Well, I can't do anything about that. But again, I can't solve all the world's problems. I just try. But, we can run audit trails. We have,
Well, it just might be a solution to not buy a $10,000, $15,000 upfront, $10,000 a year, whatever it is if people know the audit trails ran and things still reconciled to where they were before, that nothing looks fishy. But obviously, you know, in order to.
that's what the audit does, like, they go back through and make sure everything we've entered is substantiated. Because they'll come to me and say, hey, do you have a receipt for this or that, or what about this or that? They do go through all of our expenses and all that stuff. The auditor wasn't saying not to use QuickBooks, but as you see now, we're gonna be spending a lot of money manipulating the chart of accounts to fit QuickBooks, almost as much money as we would spend to get BS&A.
I'll do it for free.
What?
Whoa.
Edit your chart of accounts.
Well, I'm not getting paid to do it, I'm just saying.
Save the auditors money.
Did you have other questions?
Well, so,
You have a blanket. You have a blanket.
His bedtime's 9, it's now
yeah,
10.
it's past my bedtime too. I mean, so do you think a forensic audit is a good idea, or is it just a waste of money?
I don't think it's ever a bad idea, you just have to be willing to pay for it. And I've been taking asset management classes and all this stuff, and the issue is, ask the public what they're willing to pay for and give it, just because we exist to provide services. So if you're willing to pay for a forensic audit, then by all means, we could do one. But if you're gonna complain because we spent too much money, or the taxes go up because of, I'm not a forensic audit, it's not gonna cause your taxes to go up, but other things that people, we want this, we want that, it all comes out of tax dollars and we have to manage that. So if the people have spoken and they want a forensic audit, then the board could certainly address that issue. It all comes down to just on the bigger picture of what the public wants and what they're willing to pay for.
Now, do
Going once, going twice. I don't have a gavel, but. Okay, Amy makes a motion. What?
Are you gonna speak, Jim, or is he?
He's done.
Oh.
He's leaving.
All right, perfect.
Motion to adjourn at 10:01, the
Second.
for Crampton, Atherton, and supported by Pushies. All in favor? Aye.